Greetings, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Live from the improv. Fucking, I'm here to do a tight fucking 15 for you, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's a lie. That's a lie in the name of trying to make you laugh.
I'm going to do a loose 180.
Very loose. Welcome, kids, to Fat Man Beyond. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Mark Bernard.
Hey!
Oh.
I am in New Jersey above a movie theater.
Mm-hmm. I am in Southern California in an office slash, I guess, the scare floor.
Yeah, look at you in Monsters, Inc.
Mm-hmm.
The Mike Wazowski.
Hello, Wazowski.
My kid was little when Monsters Inc. came out. My God, that was such a big factor in our house. Mm-hmm. I've told this story before, but the Pixar was like, "Hey, will you give us a quote for an Oscar ad?" And I was like, "Yeah," as if fucking Oscar voters listen to me. What am I, Damien Chazelle? And so I gave him some quote, and as a thank you, they sent me the giant Sully and Mike that used to be in movie theaters.
Oh, fuck.
3-dimensional, made of like thick styrofoam with real fur on it and shit like that. So I was like, oh my God, these are astounding. And we unpacked them from these giant crates and put them in Harley's room. And Harley was like 3 at the time. And, I was like, oh my God, when she fucking walks in a room, she's going to pass the fuck out, man. This is unbelievable. Kid comes in the room and she's just like, wow. And then goes and does a zillion other things. That's when I realized, I was like, wow, because I grew up fucking poor. This kid grew up, with stuff. So to her, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. To her, it was just like, oh, Sully and Mike are here, of course.
Well, is that a like jaded from privilege or just the 3-year-old imagination? Just like, of course my friends are here. There is no dividing line between imaginary and real.
The very next thing she said, Mark, was, I want a pony now, daddy now.
That's an answer, counselor.
She was just, she had big stuffed animals. She had a big, like, stuffed teddy bear that we called Charlie Quinn that Joe Quesada and Nancy Quesada gave us before the kid was born. It was huge. So she was used to like big things, I guess, in her room. But these things were fucking huge. Honestly, I felt like insanely successful when I saw those crates at my house. I was like, what? Popped it open. I was like, I've done it. Like, that was my Oscar moment right there.
Brought you by the Oscars.
Closest I'll ever get. And I probably love them more. How's everybody doing, kids? Forgot they can't fucking respond. Me and Mark coming at you all over your face, neck, and chest and shit. Banff Man probably popping in from time to time as well. That's your cue. Banff.
No, he's off. Mike, we're flying blind on a rocket cycle.
There he is. How you doing there, Banff Man?
I'm okay. I'll tell you what's weird. My 2-year-old daughter is obsessed with Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, that's because your 2-year-old daughter has good fucking taste.
Not scared. Like, we're going to bed and Oogie Boogie is my friend, is what she's saying. Crazy.
Bro, take that kid to Hot Topic. Her head will fucking explode.
Yeah.
Take it to the bowl. Take it to the bowl for the Nightmare Before Christmas concert.
And who is it this year? I read it's like Halsey alternating with Catherine O'Hara. Sadly, there will be no Paul Rubens. Danny Elfman, of course. Him and every one of his fucking 10,000 muscles will squeeze into the Hollywood Bowl. That guy's fucking ripped now, man.
Yoked senior citizen.
Holy shit. And he is a senior citizen. Like, he's like fucking
70 or
Seven.
something.
Yeah. But like, geez, man, the old people today don't look like the old people of my youth.
Do you remember when J.K. Simmons was working out to play Commissioner Gordon and
Commissioner Gordon, and he had fucking guns.
What are you doing?
I was like, that and Harvey Bullock are two of the only parts don't have to get beefed up, man. And he was fucking, he too was just like, look at the gun show and shit.
Yeah, Gary Oldman was sitting there.
Close your eyes, Batman, because the gun show is back.
Yeah, Gary Oldman's on an all scone diet, and meanwhile, J.K. Simmons is here just fucking shredding.
You know, just looking back, so that movie's 30 years old, which is insane. But I was doing trivia the other night at the bar, and I do a category that I call 3 actors and a year. And so I'll give 3 actors in the year, and you have to tell me what movie it is. And I did a movie from 1990 through 1999. And I was like, man, the 90s had a lot of great movies. And the bar giggled at me. As if I was being funny or something. Like the 90s movies sucked. So I looked up movies of just 1993. You know how many great movies are turning, or at least entertaining movies are turning?
Jurassic Park,
Schindler's List, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Demolition Man, Groundhog Day, True Romance, Dazed and Confused, The Sandlot, The Firm, Mask of the Phantasm, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Fugitive, In the Line of Fire, Hocus Pocus, Tombstone, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Carlito's Way, Coneheads, Falling Down, Nightmare Before Christmas. That's like 20 of, like, every weekend there was a movie that came out that you wanted to see. That's better than like the last decade.
And Coneheads.
That is, and Coneheads. That is that's all the movies that were playing right before, like, I took Clerks to Sundance. Then, because then in '94, like, Clerks, we're coming up on 2024, man. Right now, we just passed October 3rd, the 30th anniversary of Clerks going to the IFFM, the Independent Feature Film Market, where we thought, like, we're dead. Nobody's going to see this movie. And then that's where the ball started rolling because Bob Hawke saw the flick. So that means January is the 30th anniversary of us going to Sundance with Clerks. So right now, I've been making films for 30 years, but we're coming up on the 30th anniversary of, like, the world knowing. And at the end of the 2024 in October, it's the 30th anniversary of the release of the movie. So naturally, you know, don't think for a second I'm not going to be fucking like 30 years Clerks, you know, all year long and shit.
Are you taking the 4:30 movie to Sundance? I'm
hoping, man. I hope that's up to Sundance. Hopefully we get to show it to them in the next week or two, because I got to cut together. For those that don't follow that closely, I just finished making a movie called The 4:30 Movie. I got a SAG waiver, kids, so we were shooting, and hopefully it's cut. It's all pretty much cut together. JC's seen it. JC, what do you think?
I love it. I've been working on stuff with you since you finished Red State. I joined up with you when you were touring Red State, and I think I loved Clerks 3, but I think this is my favorite movie we've worked on.
Oh man, thank you.
And actually,
am I good in it, JC?
What's that?
Am I good in it?
I don't even remember you in it. But it's funny because I'm not saying that because I'm like, well, my voice is in it like it was Clerks. I wasn't even there. Like, I started on the movie after you were like, hey, I'm done with it here. So it's I love it. I'm excited for everybody to see it.
Me too, man. It turned out really, really sweet. It's a very sweet, very, very dreamy little picture. JC before like referenced The Sandlot, and I was like, not wrong.
It's
Uh,
not. I mean, not like plot wise or anything,
right,
but
right.
in terms of like how it makes you feel.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, that was. Why did that come up again? Why did I
Big
even
year.
Big year. Yeah, that's
30
right.
years.
30 years of fucking Clerks. 30 years of Clerks and this jerk. So all year long, don't forget, kids, we're gonna be cramming that in your fucking face. I'm gonna let you forget.
Do you
Uh-oh,
have
is that a super chat in the chat? Are we back to that sort of thing?
Oh no, JC.
Oh, that wasn't me. Somebody else turned that on.
This guy, I didn't do it. I didn't break that lamp. I swear.
I bet you that's Will Wilkins. Will Wilkins is like, let's dial it up.
He's like, no sponsor tonight, so
Yes.
let's.
The kids, we got a show for you. Kinda. Look at this. I got a table that goes up and down. Ready? This is
You're
how
taking
I'm,
the elevator.
this is how I'm doing. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute. I got to go get to the wine cellar. What are we going to talk about with these folks? Let's give them a preview.
Well, we each of us has now seen 2 episodes of the Loki show, season 2.
The Loki
Talk
show.
about that.
I wish it was called the Loki show. Yes.
The Loki show, brought to you by Procter and Gamble and Patriot brand cigarettes. There's some New York Comic Con news that will sort of fold into our standard news gathering, la di da. There's some plugs that I think both of us are going to want to make about events and or products coming down the pike.
Very true.
And then there's this fucking news, man. News.
I am back east because we just had the Smodcastle Film Festival this last weekend. It opened on Thursday night with Sav Rogers chasing Amy, then continued through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We did awards, and it was absolutely lovely. Second annual Smodcastle Film Festival, and what looks like we'll be doing a third, of course. And then I was going to head home, but there's another thing that I'm doing out here on Thursday, which is JC. Can you throw up that link? The Friends of Firefighters Gala Benefit. This is the organization that grew out of the September 11th attacks. And after the September 11th attacks, we had a bunch of first responders and folks who, were dealing with the mental health issues and physical health issues and whatnot. So this organization, wonderful organization called Friends of Firefighters, that Buscemi is a member of as well, Steve Buscemi. They're doing their fundraising gala on Thursday in Brooklyn. And so I'm the MC. They're also, full disclosure, giving me some sort of award, which is very sweet of them. So I'm in town for that. Banff Man, I sent that link? Can you throw that up?
I'm working on it. It's requiring me to log in, so I'll have it up in 2 seconds. Keep chatting.
No worries whatsoever. That's what I'm doing on Thursday. So that's kept me out here. And then Friday I'll head back west to the land of Los Angeles. How you been? What you been up to?
Man, it's been a good couple of weeks, I guess, since the last time we did this. Maybe it was last week the last time we did it. Maybe to talk about the first episode of Loki and the finale of Ahsoka. I think it was last week.
It had to be last week. Yeah,
had to be last week. Kind of work is beginning to heat up. Now that the WGA strike is over, and now that development is starting anew, there's this smell of opportunity is in the air. So I'm fucking out there shaking my ass on the track like one does. Had a comic book announced at New York Comic Con this past weekend. JC is so busy logging into Instagram. There it is. Look at you. I on the heels of the Darth Vader short story that I did for their anthology, Darth Vader Black, White, and Red, they asked me if I wanted to write a miniseries about Mace Windu, and I said yes, I do. I don't know what I'm gonna make Windu do. But I'll figure that shit out. They would not let me just reenact Pulp Fiction with Mace Windu.
They actually expected some sort of story.
They're like, could you keep this kind of in the universe? I was like, okay, but can he say motherfucker a lot? Like, no, I'm afraid he can't. The Force, motherfucker, do you wield it? I'm like, nope, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Look at you, man. That's 2 Star Wars stories you got to write.
I know, it's been fun. It's been
From a
fun.
kid who like fucking saw Star Wars when he was just a youngster in fucking short pants running around dreaming about sci-fi and shit, geeking out before he found Star Trek. He's like
Me
pew
and the Little Rascals.
pew 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 bits out, bits out. And then one day you get to grow up to fucking do this and get notes from the fucking Lucasfilm, I'm sure, right? Like
Yeah, man.
somebody makes sure that you're not like, and then Mace Windu pulls out a giant cock. They're like, oh no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Star Wars censor.
Does Yoda look like a bitch, Anakin? Then why are you trying to fuck him?
1994, great year for movies.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, that's
so that's
fucking
it.
tremendous. Congratulations to you, my friend.
Thank you. That comes out in January. 4 issues of Mace Windu goodness.
Look at you, man. Next up, fucking, they'll just hand you one of them Star Wars TV series they keep giving out to everybody.
Would you like to do a Star Wars? Yes, I would. Can I make this one good though?
The Flu 1775 in chat says, does Marcellus Wallace look like a Sith? That is very funny.
I know the puns. Which lightsaber is yours? It's the one that says bad motherfucker on it.
Michael Oker in chat says, doesn't Kevin look a little high? I wish. No.
It's tired.
I was drinking some Celsius. That's my new fucking speed right here, man. You got one?
I got mine.
You got a grape?
I got grape.
Look at that.
Grape ape.
It's a free ad right there. They're not paying.
I poured mine into a little cup that has ice in it so I can just make it last longer.
You pretending you're at a party? I'm gonna get you a red fucking Solo cup and shit.
Have some Celsius Pong.
Yeah, fucking pop. And shit.
But I haven't been to the movies much lately because it's a bit of a dearth at the movie theater unless you're a Taylor Swift fan, in which case, yeah, now's your time.
Yeah, oh my good lord, that was playing here at Smodcastle right downstairs, congruent with the Smodcastle Film Festival. So you had a bunch of Cine Easts and a bunch of tween girls rating theaters at the same time. Yeah, look, I'm not a Swiftie, and not by virtue of the fact like I don't like her music. I know one song, and I like it, but I respect what she got going on, and she's clearly very talented. She's also a writer. I respect the fuck out of that. But as an exhibitor, Mark, as a movie theater owner, oh, let me tell you, I like this girl very much. Her, Greta Gerwig, fucking Chris Nolan. These are my favorite people. Chris Pratt, fucking both the Mario brothers. These are my favorite people this year when it comes to film exhibition. So she did a solid by shooting that fucking flick, man. She didn't have to do that.
Did you have a plethora of teenage girls dancing in your theater?
Yeah, I popped my head in one of the theaters at one point, and oh my god, they shot the fuck out of this movie, man. Like literally 35 cameras. There were so many fucking cuts where it's like bang, bang, bang. It's not like 4 cameras and they're cutting to 4 different angles. There were fucking cameras everywhere. She looked like she was having a real good time up on that stage. I'm sure she's counting every fucking billion of her billions of dollars and stuff.
Do you think that Martin Scorsese watches like the Taylor Swift movie and goes like, you know what? When I shot The Last Waltz, I had 3 fucking cameras.
I know. Yeah, it's from what I saw when I was standing there watching. I also watched a few minutes of Paw Patrol Got thoughts. I have notes. The the dogs don't act like that, Mark. I've got two dogs. They don't fucking act like that.
No, not so much.
That but when I sat in for a few minutes on the Taylor Swift flick, because you can do that when you own the movie theater. It seemed joyous, and the kids were having a good time that were there to see it. You know, like little girls, when like 6, 7, 8-year-old girls get up and dance, they're just like they stand up and like just how to dance. As I sat in the theater, I was like, "You can't dance. Sit down," I said.
They're just like the wavy things outside of car dealerships.
Yes.
Get rid of them.
It was lovely though, seeing the kids and their parents, of course, just like something to do.
Yeah, we'll be in the back on our phones. You kids have fun.
But yeah, man. I also watched today. Jen and I went downstairs and watched Dumb Money, the movie about the GameStop scandal, or not scandal, GameStop. What do they call that?
I don't know. Starring Pete Davidson, Staten Island
stock incident. Yeah, with Paul Dano, Pete Davidson, Shailene Woodley, Seth Rogen. Good movie, directed by Craig Gillespie. Good flick. They didn't have a way to market it. Got like a great cast, but once again, you know, we're in the midst of a strike still, so they can't be out there talking about it and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose we can deliver a tiny SAG strike update. I am not nearly as informed about the SAG strike as I was the WGA strike. Because
let's finish off the WGA strike. We all signed, everything done.
And we all ratified the contract as presented by 99% of the members who voted to ratify. There were some 1%, 90 people were like, "Fuck this deal," and didn't vote for it. But that's a very, very teensy minority of the majority. And so writers are back to work. Writers' rooms are up and running. There's still an open debate where those writers' rooms are. Because there are some showrunners who do not want to cross the picket line, and so the offices that used to be on studio lots that are actively picketed by SAG, like, I won't cross that line. Give me WeWork somewhere. Give me an office in the back of a Staples, but I don't want to cross that line. But if you're working, you're back to work. If you were not working, you're back to looking for work. And so that's the deal. That's where it is. And SAG, I think, is on they're in the high 80s of their strike. They have been going great guns, I believe, with the studios. They were meeting every other day with the negotiating team, the negotiations committee on behalf of SAG, and then the studio heads. I think they had 4 or 5 legit studio heads in the room. And I think that some of it was the reason they were meeting every other day is because SAG had some 30 or so, maybe even 40 points of contention. Like, here are the deal points we want to address. Whereas the writers really only had 8 or 9. And so you could digest that information overnight. Where if you've got to go through a phone book of asks and counters and negotiations, that takes time. But as of last week, the studios walked away from the table again. You know, for reasons that nobody can ever seem to understand, other than they're trying to split the membership of the union and cause some internal disarray. It's the same thing they did with the writers. It doesn't work, but it's their playbook, and so they keep on running it. And much like with the writers, when we got to day 148 and made a deal that could have been made in 3 days, the actors are beginning to feel the same way, which is, you're going to make a deal, you're going to have to give a bit, and we'll have to give a bit, but this weird political, counterintelligence psyop shit of like, let's just walk away, let's take our game and go home, is not advantageous for anybody. So they are cruising up on 100 days. And I've been walking the line, like, once, maybe twice a week. I'll grab my WGA in support of SAG picket sign, and I'll walk out there. And spirits are still high, but somehow the lines don't feel as deep as I would have expected for a guild the size of SAG. So if
What
you're an actor out there,
does it feel like that's going to close or end soon? I know they walked away this week, but like maybe that's why people aren't walking the line so much.
I mean, it what you'd hope is that it would encourage them to come out in force. It would have the opposite effect. It's like, oh, they walked away. Fine, we will show them how strong we are by giving a strong show of solidarity on the lines and get out there and march. Um, it has to be over soon because what's going to end up happening is the writers are back to work and they're writing the scripts that the actors would shoot. And so the hope is if you're going to save, winter 2024, then you need to start shooting before Thanksgiving of 2023, which means the actors will need to deal. So it doesn't feel like you can go on for that much longer if the studios want to save the fiscal year next year. But who knows? They don't seem to be always operating logically.
Brazil 201 in chat says in New York the lines are massive, but I don't know why LA isn't popping.
I don't know either. I mean, and it's not even that it's theater actors because they can be working. But maybe it's because New York only has a couple of picket locations. They're not quite spread as thin. But, the WGA's membership was some 12,000 people. And SAG is about 160,000 people. And so it feels like that's a lot of people who could be walking who don't seem to be walking.
Meanwhile, on the Writers Guild side, everyone's going back to work. The thing we were working on months ago, before the strike happened, we get to go start resuming discussions about.
Yeah. The world is beginning to at least gently, slowly right itself. And right, puns. And so we're gonna be back at it.
Duruti in chat wrote something and then wrote like, yeah, ignore it as usual. So that made me scroll back to see what he's talking about. And he said, or she said, the actors came out for the writers, but as soon as the writers got their deal, they abandoned the actors. Do you agree with that, Mark?
No, because the actors, when they could work, did work. Because they're contractually obligated to do so. There is a no sympathy strike clause in both guilds' contracts. You can decide not to cross a picket line, and some actors did. If there was a picket line outside their set, their location, some actors didn't cross it. Some did, and that's fine. Like as to each to their own. But as I said, we're not crossing picket lines. We're going back to work because, again, our contract requires us to. But we're not going to cross a line and go back to work on the Warner Brothers lot or on the Disney lot. That's what the picket does. So there's that weirdness, the disconnect, I suppose, on what some people saw and did during the Writers Guild strike. There were actors who walked on the lines with us who were also working, but they walked because they believed in what we were doing, but had to do their jobs because they signed a contract requiring them to do that job. Same with us.
In chat, Gwen said WGA and SAG are in solidarity. No one has abandoned anyone.
Correct. We are supporting as much as we can support.
Shall we dive into the news? Because people are starting to ask questions that are kind of news related. For example, Dwayne Otley is asking, is NBC Universal going to buy Warner Brothers? Is that in the news? Do you have anything about that?
It is a rumor. It is not a thing that is in motion, but the belief had always been that the way David Zaslav has been treating Warner Brothers Discovery has been, trimming the fat for an eventual sale to somebody. Getting all of their tax burdens in line, shrinking the workforce, minimizing their taxes, all of that stuff, killing movies that maybe people should have seen, is all in an effort to make the company more attractive to a buyer. And the theory seems to be is, well, who could afford to buy Warner Brothers? And there's but a handful of people who could, and NBC Universal is one of them. As is Apple, if they wanted to, as is Amazon, if they wanted to. but there's no current like negotiations in that regard. But you know, it is not by any stretch out of the realm of possibility that in the next few years, um, even though we have antitrust laws that seem to be maybe guidelines and not laws anymore, that giant companies buying giant companies to form another giant Voltron company is probably not a great idea. Um, but nobody seems to care. So I guess that's what's going to happen.
George DeWitt in chat says, I can guarantee you that NBC would not get the sign off from the government to buy Warner. It's probably right. Too big, right?
I mean, Disney got the sign off to buy Fox.
Yeah, good point.
Amazon got the sign off to buy MGM. Like,
No.
everything is possible.
Bamf.
Hey,
Man, what up, Banff man?
Can I ask, as writers, as people who have to work in this industry, does it really worry you guys when it's like, well, I have two employers. It's either NBC Universal or it's Disney, or I guess three, or it's Apple. Because if you piss one person off, not that I have any experience pissing off one of those corporations in any way, shape, or form, but all of a sudden you can't work with any of the other ones. So like nothing Marvel will have anything to do with Scum and Villainy. Nothing. At all. So is that really what the fear is of just like, well, I do work with Hollywood Reporter. If I fall out with Hollywood Reporter, I also fall out with like Deadspin, Rolling Stone, Billboard, Variety. It's just like, well, that's it. Like if you work in entertainment journalism, it's like Entertainment Weekly and Penske Media. Like, is that just a giant fear? Is that just about controlling completely controlling the narrative? Charles Foster Kane? Is that where we're at again?
It's not good because as a person who sells things, you want lots of places to be able to sell that thing.
Yeah.
And if suddenly what used to be 8 places buying becomes 7, becomes 6, becomes 5, that's less opportunities to sell the thing. Like when you used to be able to pitch, Disney proper, used to be able to pitch Fox proper. You used to be able to pitch fucking Lucasfilm proper or Pixar proper. They were all buyers of things. And then once they all get under the same corporate, umbrella, that's less ability for you to find a market for what you're selling. And it's not great. So if it all comes down to ultimately 2 companies left, then, sure, they'll still make stuff. And sure, some of those executives at Fox Searchlight have a budget to buy stuff, but it's not as if they didn't have to deal with some giant corporate synergy initiative. They could just fucking go out on a lark and say, I believe in this. Let's do that. It's not as easy anymore. So yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm deeply afraid of it the way I am of like spiders, but it's not a healthy business environment to not have a healthy marketplace.
Spiders, antitrust, keeping me out of work.
Like one of those things is always closer than the other.
The chat is full of people wanting to talk about stuff like the A24 pivot. You read about that?
No, what's their pivot?
They also want to talk about Best Buy announcing they're done with physical media.
Yeah, the A24 pivot to like, we want blockbuster filmmakers, which
A24, I guess, is looking for more IP properties. Because not every movie is everything everywhere all at once.
I mean, if I'm an A24 executive, I start like shopping and sifting through public domain. Like I start saying like, what's our version of The Little Mermaid? What's a A24 movie that's fucking Winnie the Pooh, which is not public domain?
Right.
Like rather than
instead of shopping for like, give us, who knows? But this is just a report that was in the press that they're like, yeah, we're open to, or they've been taking meetings about meeting with about doing bigger things, looking for bigger properties and whatnot. And that's got folks scared online because they're like, no.
It was a good, small, perfect thing.
I guess in short, Mark, Bo
Mm.
is afraid. Uh, and Bo is the internet, and the internet's afraid that the modern day Miramax, A24, the most interesting film distribution company currently in the business,
Mm.
is going to become somehow less interesting. I say no. I don't think that's necessarily going to mean that they're going to stop making all the movies they've made. They're just also trying to get hits so that they can
Mhm.
continue making the weirdness. That's what I hope.
I mean, I think they've figured out, they're one of the few production companies that has an aesthetic. Like, an A24 movie when you see it, which it feels a lot like HBO used to be in the early 2000s. It's not TV, it's HBO, and you knew an
Yeah.
HBO show when you watched it. And so, is there a way to scale up what A24 means? Like, yeah, there absolutely is. In the same way that Miramax would do tiny fucking movies nobody ever heard of, and then a crime game, and then Pulp Fiction, and then we'll spend some money and we'll make a thing that nobody else would make. If that's all that means, then hey, go for it. Be the Blumhouse of art house. Um, Feels like a decent way to go.
And Best Buy, I guess, has announced that they're done with physical media as of first of the year. So Christmas, this is it for Best Buy was doing those fucking tremendous steel box
Yeah.
sets for various Blu-rays and some old, some new. But they're getting out of physical media, man, which means the price of that shit's gonna go up. Don't mean it's gonna go away, kids. There'll still be people making stuff. It's just, but now can't offset the cost with like a couple pallets going off to
Mhm.
Best Buy. So probably means a per unit cost of physical media, that Blu-rays and whatnot will probably go up a little bit, but it doesn't mean the end of it. It's never
No, I
all
mean,
going away. It's like records, man. There's always gonna be
mhm.
fuck. Do you know how many VHSs people bring me now? And
Really.
it's fine because now you can also get those authenticated and slabbed. Sealed VHSs that have never been opened that still have like the logo on the fucking wrap, like Buena Vista Home Video or MCA Universal or something like that. So yeah, there'll always be physical media, kids, but Best Buy dropping out of the game it's a shame. It's a blow.
It is. And I think that especially as people begin to realize that there was a convenience and a permanence to physical media that you do not get in a streaming environment. When, like, if you had it, you had it. Nobody could take it away. Nobody could unlicense it from you. Nobody could come in your house and decide, you know what, you don't get to watch RoboCop anymore because we've not sold the rights to another streamer, and so it's not on this one, the one you had a subscription to. If it's in your house, you can watch it. And I think that people are beginning to remember how what it was like to be a collector, and that there was some joy to be had in there. Like fucking Criterion had a wicked sale today. Did you see this? 50% off every Criterion disc for 24 hours. And
Ooh,
I went a little fucking nuts for a dude who doesn't currently have a job, and almost spent like $200 buying Criterions today.
look at you.
Give me these Blu-rays. Give me these Blu-rays. Um, so yeah, it's. I think you're right. I think it'll become like records. I think it will become a not even bespoke, but way more of a objet based collector's medium. And like, yeah, you might end up spending $50 for a DVD. If you want it.
Our friend Josh Mundhall in a super chat asked us, Kevin, did you receive the Gil Gerard uh, Buck Rogers DVD box set? Yeah, he had gifted me that. I did receive that. Thank you very much.
Oh,
It inspired you to create a Ranger Danger comic or an animated series yet to pitch to Netflix? No, but there's something in the 430 movie that is in that Buck Rogers realm. Uh, Thank you, Josh. You're very, very sweet, man. It's a $20 super chat right there, my friend. $20 super chat.
Ooh, that's good for a good dozen Celsiuses.
That's true. Me and Mark can buy the drink that won't sponsor us.
Nope.
To be fair, we didn't ask. Hey, speaking of sponsor, or speaking of shit you can buy, if you go to a website called, what's that website called? Mercantile Instinct. That's Malcolm Ingram's website. You can buy the Clerk Blu-ray movie
Ooh.
about my life, documentary about my life with this awesome little sleeve that goes over it, this O-ring as they call it in the business. Go to mercantileinstinct.com right now. Get your copy of Clerk. What else can we talk about? You got news?
Well, we could get into the Loki of it all and then hit the news, or we could just dive into the news. Well, actually, the first news item does dovetail very nicely into Loki, so we can do that.
Okay, let's do it. I watched Loki episode 2.
As did I.
Story in progress. Nice to see Evie back. Give me a few more episodes.
I caught up with the first episode and watched the second episode, and I have no idea what's happening, really. Like, it's been a long time since season 1, and so like pruning of timelines and sacred timeline and TVA this, and like it's all swimming a little bit over my head. But I also don't care that much because I just very much like watching Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson kind of just banter. Like the two of them together is fun to watch. And so I'll just watch that, and like the story will eventually begin to make sense. And you add Ki Kwan to that, who's just adorable. Like it's perfectly amiable viewing, even though I don't know yet what the story is. Episode 1 ends with, "We got to find Sylvie." Okay, why? Because we just have to. You need to know what, and because things happened at the end of the universe, and the man who shall not be named or whatever. Okay, yeah, let's go do that, and we're gonna spend some time in an old McDonald's. Yeah, all right, cool. That's also fun. Like I don't get it yet, but maybe I'm not supposed to, or maybe, as the internet is fond of saying, I'm not smart enough to get it.
Same, but it's also it speaks volumes about the charm of that cast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'll take your journey because I like watching these people, and I'm not sure where you guys are going just yet, and I wish you'd get there a lot sooner. But yeah, it continues apace, and it's still insanely well made and well acted. But as we've learned this week or last week, Marvel is doing something of a retcon when it comes to their TV shows. Is that the story that dovetails nicely?
That is the lead story this week, my friend.
It's everywhere, that story, man.
Yeah, that was broken in the Hollywood Reporter, written by our man Boris Kidd. Marvel slams the brakes on Daredevil and then discovers how television works. They were making an 18-episode Daredevil show, Daredevil Born Again. They had paused production in mid-June during the writer's strike. They had shot about 9 episodes of the 18, but apparently it was enough for Marvel executives, including Kevin Feige, to review the footage and come away with a clear-eyed assessment the show wasn't working. So in late September of this year, Marvel quietly let go of head writers Chris Ord and Matt Corman. Uh-oh.
There's a thought in chat that I'm like, wow. Taylor in chat says, it'll be awesome if Short Round is the new He Who Remains.
Okay.
Could be, right? Because right now he's like an innocent, adorable, lovable little character, but maybe by the end, he's a Kang.
Could be a Kang.
Anyway, back to Daredevil.
So yes, the Marvel is on the hunt for new writers to oversee, I suppose, writing a whole new show and using some of what had already been shot. But all of that is increasingly unclear. what exactly is happening inside the House of Ideas. Um, according to, and GHR had some quotes from people on the record, like Brad Winderbaum, who's the head of streaming television animation for Marvel, and saying, we're trying to marry the Marvel culture with the traditional television culture. It comes down to how can we tell stories in television that honor what's so great about the source material. I think part of the issue, and it's a thing that is highlighted, there's a new book on stands called MCU: The Reign of Marvel Studios,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Like, it's a terrific book. I got a look at it about a month ago or so. And it's amazing. Like, they interview some 100 people, from the very beginning of Marvel when they were set up above a Beverly Hills Mercedes-Benz dealership all the way till now. And Joanna Robinson was sort of the lead researcher, and I'm sorry, the lead reporter, and Dave Gonzalez was the lead researcher. And one of the things they talk about is the Marvel method of making movies, which is, Kevin Feige would entrust a filmmaker to go off and make the movie that they wanted to make, with lots of input from the Marvel executives and whatever. They would build time into the production schedule. So they'd come back with a movie, Feige and company would look at it and see what was missing, and then go off and shoot that stuff that was missing. That's the way they've done everything, basically, since Iron Man. The problem is that TV doesn't quite work that way. Like, you actually need to have a showrunner, a writer who's in charge, who's keeping the story in their head the entire time, both on set and in post. And it's infinitely harder to operate that way. We're like, oh, all right, so here's 10 hours of content. We now need to figure out how to spot weld this together so it makes sense. 2 hours is somewhat easier to do than 10 hours, 18 hours of television. And so that seems to be the fundamental, clash of styles, which is television is its own beast. Television has been made a certain way for 50 years. And it works. Not to say that you can't innovate stuff, because people are innovating the ways you make television all the time, but you don't break it unless it's broken. And lots of people have made fantastic television the way television gets made. And so for Marvel to now kind of come around, it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe we did need to have showrunners. Maybe we did need to involve them in the entire process. Maybe we did need to have somebody minding the shop at every turn. Like Moon Knight with Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. The creator and writer Jeremy Slater quit. Director Mohammed Diab took the reins. The writer of the show was not there. Jessica Gao developed and wrote She-Hulk Attorney at Law, but was sidelined once director Kat Coro came aboard. Like, it's just there's a litany of these kinds of shows, especially Marvel shows, that seems as if there's just a ball being kind of handed over to lots of different people. Secret Invasion, Hal Bradstreet, who was a writer and AP on Mr. Robot, had been working on the scripts for a year when he was fired after Marvel went a different direction. Then a new guy named Brian Tucker came aboard with a new director, and all of these pieces just keep on moving, and it's very hard to make a good television show that way. And so, yeah, like, even Marvel is now coming around to saying, it's like, you know what? We might need showrunners. It's a term we've not only grown comfortable with, but also learned to embrace, says Brad Winderbaum. We need executives that are dedicated to this medium, that are going to focus on streaming and focus on television, because they and movies are two different art forms. So we'll see what happens, man. But it's a little rocky over there at the moment. And I suppose it helps that all parties concerned have decided to slow down the production process. Bob Iger, once he returned from the wilderness, was like, we're doing too much stuff. Like, you're making movies you might not need to make, and that's way too much television. So let's just kind of.
I read some today that said maybe Wonder Man is going away as well.
Yeah, that's a rumor that Wonder Man, which was like 90% shot and stopped during the writer's strike, might be just a casualty of war. Might be like, you know what? Not going to finish it. Echo, which has been bounced, I think, into next year, was just going to be like a Thanksgiving drop. I'm just, here you go. Enjoy the binge. It would have been the first time that Marvel would have binged the thing, and that does not imply an overwhelming amount of confidence.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, my heart goes out to everyone that worked on that Daredevil. Um, just like my heart went out to everyone that worked on fucking Batgirl. Like, could you imagine putting all that time into something? And I'm
yeah,
not saying like good or bad. I'm not commenting on the quality, but it's just like you put all your time and effort into a thing, and then somebody's like, nah.
yeah, it's not working. Like, and apparently that Daredevil show, like, he wasn't in the suit for the first 4 episodes of the show because they very much wanted it to be like a legal procedural. It's like, I mean, okay, but and when I say they, I mean it was, Marvel and probably not the writers. Um, that is speculation, I'm sure, but like, how do you not put Daredevil in the Daredevil suit for 4 hours of TV?
Well, Netflix, the series didn't put him into the suit until the literal end of the show. They had him in a, fucking sleek black outfit where he put a, thing around his eyes, but he didn't get into that suit until the second or couple episodes toward the end, if I remember correctly. Did he get the mask?
Right, but he's like in a suit doing Daredevil-y things,
Right.
and
I
if
mean,
it,
look, I'm with you. I did not need, especially because they already established the dude as Daredevil in She-Hulk. So it's like,
mhm,
what are you waiting 4 episodes to get him in a suit for?
yeah, like once you cast Charlie Cox and once you bring Vincent D'Onofrio back and once, John Barenthal is back, like you're Daredevil season 3 at this point. So just or 4, I don't remember how many they did on Netflix. They did 3 seasons on
I think they
Netflix.
did three, so this would be essentially season 4. But it seemed like, I guess maybe they were trying to keep costs down because their Daredevil bounces around and shit. Remember, and She-Hulk
Yeah,
jumped off buildings and whatnot.
lots of
Like
pingity poingity.
Netflix Daredevil just kicks the shit out of people in a nonstop hallway fight.
Yeah, yeah, and like that was also done under the Marvel TV, the Jeff Loeb era, and
Yeah,
more to the point, the Ike Perlmutter, like we're going to be as cheap as fucking possible era. And so they were never going to spend pingity poingity Daredevil money. It was always going to be gritty and dudes in hallways, which worked. It worked. The first season of Daredevil is great. The first season of Jessica Jones is great. The first season of Luke Cage is great. The first season of Iron Fist exists. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It feels like it was due a change in the operating style for Marvel TV, and it seems like a change is going to come.
Silas Barr in chat said, I promise this is the last time I mentioned that Werewolf by Night color version showing this month. So remember,
Yeah,
Werewolf by Night was black and white. I guess they got a color version of.
yeah. I got a chance to meet Michael Giacchino at a birthday party a couple of weeks back and told him how much I appreciated Werewolf by Night, and he seemed a cool cat.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job. All right, what else we got?
Yo, shit's crazy on Aquaman 2.
Oh my lord! I
Yeah,
mean, my heart goes out to every fucking fellow DC fan, man. It's just like can't win, can't
no,
can't get a bite, man. Flash, Shazam, Blue Beetle, and now are we getting Aquaman by the end of this year or no?
we're supposedly getting it. I think that Warner Brothers seems bullish on the strike coming to an end, so being able to have Momoa out there flacking it. But yeah, like Variety had this whole bit about the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial documents surfacing, and like all kinds of alleged behavior on the part of Momoa, who was apparently allegedly drunk, who dressed like Johnny Depp, and like he,
I don't know that he. I mean, I don't fuck. I met him once on a plane. Seemed like a nice guy, but I don't think he just dressed like Johnny Depp. I think he dresses. I don't think he dressed as Johnny Depp. I think he just kind of dresses like Johnny Depp. layers and shit like that.
Right. I mean, that's like it's very like he said, she said. It's like, you know, herds people are like, this is the thing that happened that was done intentionally to dispirit my client. And then Momoa's reps are like, hey, he's not dressed like Johnny Depp. He's always dressed like a bohemian. Like he's always been in like flowy things and lots of chains and rings and whatever.
Yes.
You know, it's like he's conducting himself as a professional all times on the set of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Does he like a drink occasionally? Sure. Everybody does. But he doesn't show up drunk on set. But like it's like we talked about it before that all the reshoots, years and years and years of reshoots. But like the more that comes out about this thing, the more it's like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the one thing that like, you know, that I read in the news that I was like, well, I guess I can understand that. Was they were having test screenings and spoilers, kids. I don't know if they're going to continue doing this in the movie, but they did this once in the comics, so spoilers for that as well. In the comics many years ago, Black Manta killed Aquaman's son,
Hmm.
the Aqua Baby,
Aqualad.
Aqualad, him and Mira's baby. So that's pretty famous comic book storyline, and it sounds like they included a version of that in this new Aquaman movie, where Black Manta kills Aquaman and Mira's baby, and you know, fucking audiences walked out. They were like, "Fuck this." So I can get my head around that if some audience is like, I don't fucking come to no superhero movie to watch a fucking baby die. But,
Yeah.
you know, the comic book guy in me was like, well, that's what they did in the comics. So it sounds like that's probably going to go away. It sounds like they've been changing this movie so much. Dude, they had minimum 2 Batmans in this movie at one
Yeah.
point. They had
Easy.
Michael Keaton Batman, and they also had the fucking Ben Affleck Batman.
Yeah. I mean, apparently the sequel has endured challenges outside of the Amber Heard saga and was testing in the 60s before being recut in the summer of 2022. Despite the overhaul, the film continued to test in the 60s, prompting another new cut. This movie is like the echo of regimes, says one insider. It's the last remnant of the Snyderverse, and no one really wants to take ownership of it. Reshoots took place right up until this year's WGA strike in May. Let's see. In fact, none of the stars cast by Zack Snyder for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and Justice League, including Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, and Momoa, will reprise their roles in the new DC universe in character. Momoa may return, just not as Aquaman. Sources say the actor's engaged in talks to play Lobo, either in the 2025 reboot Superman Legacy or in a standalone film.
That honestly makes absolute sense to me.
Yeah.
He looks like Lobo.
Yeah. You know, and like if you're going to get a new Superman, you kind of have to get a new everybody else anyway. Like, and if you want a clean start, if you want the DC universe begins here, all of that makes sense. You know, but then again, Viola Davis is going to still be Amanda Waller, and John Cena will still be Peacemaker, and those things are in canon.
Josh Mundell in chat reminded me to promote the Stash reservist list. Thank you, Josh. If you go to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. Friends, do you have a comic book store near you? If not, man, why not order your comic books like Mark's forthcoming Mace Windu comic book from Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash? Become a reservist. We'll send comics anywhere in the continental United States. Go to jayandsilentbob.com for more details. Thank you, Josh Mundell, for that. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Lobo. Momoa is perfect for Lobo.
Yeah. Later on in this variety piece, it says at least 2 of Amber Heard's scenes were cut from Aquaman 2. An action sequence that found Mira fighting Black Manta, and a love scene with Momoa, according to individuals familiar with the production.
She was probably fighting Black Manta to save her baby.
Right. And so if that scene's been cut, which it's like tonally, does anybody want infanticide in their Aquaman movie? Not after the first movie, which was just candy-colored fish things and underwater fire.
I mean, could you imagine like Aquaman 1? Hey, here's an octopus playing drums. Aquaman 2 is a dead baby floating at the top of this tank. somebody fish that out. Somebody get the net and fish it out.
Like, I didn't know this is the movie we were gonna get.
I'm not I'm not saying I'm all for baby killing by any stretch of the imagination, Mark. I know that's a hot take, but I'll say it right here.
Don't love a baby
That
killing.
being said, that would not make me leave that movie. I would not be on my feet and like, how dare they? I'd be like, wow, this shit took a fucking turn.
Like, I gotta see what they do next.
Like, of all the cinematic bad guys, I believe Black Manta now takes the cake. I mean, at least, Thanos was like half of everybody. I'll never meet him. Just fucking, what did he say about it? He was like fair or some such shit.
Right, balance.
Balanced. But fucking, when you're just like killing babies, fuck, man. I mean, that's I could see why Warner Brothers was like, perhaps no.
Although I will also say, and some of it is always context, right? In Battlestar Galactica, the miniseries, I kept watching it because they killed a baby in the first 5 minutes of that show. When Caprica 6, when Trisha Helfer's walking through that outdoor mall, and she's like, oh, look at the baby. Oh, they're so small and fragile. And she just sticks her hand in there and you hear it. Like, I'm watching this. I got to see what they do next. If they kill the fucking baby a teaser.
I forgot about that. That was so fucking crimson. You heard the like little snap and shit. And at first you were like, what the fuck? But then it's like, well, they're about to drop a bunch of missiles.
Right. It's actually mercy in its own weird sort of way.
Showing a little bit of mercy.
But like that intrigued me enough to keep watching a 4-hour miniseries. But after the weird like Wonka Vision version of Aquaman you get in part 1, to be like, by the way, part 2, killing babies now. Not just babies, your hero's baby. And like, I get it. It's in the comics, but the Aquaman comics were not quite as frothy as that movie was.
Bobby Hill in chat said, hey, Kev, everyone has been talking about Obi being he who remains for weeks, bud. Yeah, I guess, but this was exposed to me here in fucking chat. It's so strange what people choose to like that stuck in his craw enough where he was like, I gotta write a comment about this.
Yeah, like there's Glenn Alexander in chat. It's like, Mark, have you read Dune, the book? Paul's first son gets killed. I'm not saying you can't kill people's sons.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, it's awful, but I'm not saying you can't do that in fiction. You can always do that in fiction, but it needs to be part of the story that feels like it's a story you were always telling. And Aquaman does not feel like it's a story that was going to hold infanticide. It's a turn, and a pretty harsh turn at that, for the tone that you got in the first one. I'm all for stories that go fucking dark when it feels like a story that's going to go dark. But I don't know. I could see, like, because the first one played like a kid's movie. And that's a serious left turn for a kid's franchise.
Yeah. Again, giant octopus playing drums.
Dum, 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 dum.
Yeah, that movie sounds, and how the first one made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like an Aquaman movie that made $1 billion, like that's nuts. I mean, it makes sense in retrospect, but like nobody saw that coming. And the fact that you do that and then like you make another one and it has all this trouble getting to the fucking screen, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand it. But
a very talented filmmaker too.
Yeah, James Wan. But I think some of it is also the watchword that James Gunn keeps saying is, if the script's not right, we're not setting a date for it, we're not starting production. All these things tend to go wrong because they have either no script or a bad script, but they're fenced in by production commitments. I guess they had to make an Aquaman movie at some point, and so they made one, and it's bad.
Craven Knight on in chat said, just watch that Battlestar scene. Wow.
Yeah, it's intense. I remember talking to Ron Moore, because we had him on the Battlestar Galactica cast a couple of times, And asked him about that. And he was like, yeah, sci-fi did not want to let us do that. And for a very long time, that scene did not have the sound of a baby's neck snapping. It's like, I think we snuck it in. It's like, I think we just snuck it in like the last round of post. And sci-fi didn't get a chance to bounce it.
Somebody said that the Crow is officially been cast and it's the Skarsgård kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we hit
True.
that. Yeah, we hit that like a month ago or so. It's not new news.
I look forward to that, man. I think he's a good cast.
Yeah. I mean, fuck it. I'll go for it. I mean, he's no Brandon Lee, but sadly, nobody is.
As Aquaman has all this fucking trouble, Barbie became Warner Brothers' highest grossing film ever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Higher than any Batman, higher than any Harry Potter. And I don't think they had her signed to a sequel. So that's going to cost them. If she even has anything else she wants to say about Barbie.
Tully Quinn in chat said, remember when Hawkeye killed that chicken in the MASH finale? He didn't kill the chicken. Remember?
I don't.
So in the MASH finale, there's like they're trying to be quiet, and there's if I remember correctly, I know Hawkeye didn't do it. I think he witnessed it and he talks about it and he breaks down emotionally. A woman who had like a crying baby, and if I remember correctly, they're hiding from aggressors in the midst of war. And he tells the story that she was holding a chicken and the chicken was clucking, and so she killed the chicken to keep it quiet. But then later on, spoilers in the episode, they feel it was not a chicken that she was holding, but a child. And you know, that was in the MASH series finale, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're wrapping this show up after like fucking a 40-year successful run, and let's leave them with good feelings. So, like, P.S. This happened as well.
Yeah, by the way.
Yeah, that's a tough one. T-Train said, Kevin, stop reading chat. We're all insane in here. All insane over here too, kids.
Word them up.
Infinite Mush goes, MASH. Wow. Yes, I know. Why are we're really deep digging far fucking back, man. People are like, writer strikes over. You guys talking about fucking the MASH series finale? One of the most watched programs in TV history.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Matthew Vaughn was at director Matthew Vaughn. He of the Kingsman series, X-Men First Class, Kick-Ass, was at New York Comic Con, just spitting wisdom in front of a crowd, and talked about his first experience in the X-Men universe and how badly it went. And he talked about how X-Men: The Last Stand did Halle Berry dirty. He said that he was attached to direct X-Men 3. And he said, I went into one of the executives' offices and I saw an X3 script and immediately knew it was a lot fatter. I was like, what the hell is this draft? And the executive went, don't worry about it. And I'm like, no, I'm the director. I'm worrying about this draft. The executive wouldn't tell him. So Vaughn grabbed it. He said, and I opened the first page and it said, Africa, storm, kids dying of no water. She creates a thunderstorm and saves all these children. And Vaughn says, well, I thought it was a pretty cool idea, but once he learned what was going to happen to the script, his relationship to the project soured. Vaughn said, what is this? And they said, oh, it's Halle Berry's script. And I went, oh, okay, because she's not signed on to do the movie yet. And the executive goes, but this is what she wants it to be. And once she signs up, we'll throw it in the bin, the director said. And Vaughn's like, well, you're going to do that to an Oscar-winning actress who plays Storm? I'm out of here. So I quit the movie. That's fucked up.
I mean, you know, I should really close my mouth. I'm acting like that, Mark. That is the single worst thing I've ever heard. But it's pretty fucking tricky dicky.
It's a little skeezy. It's a little like, I don't want to play the race card, but it's a little fucking racist. Like, I know what Halle Berry wants. She wants to be in Africa and save like hungry, thirsty kids. Like, and also that we're gonna commission a script that wouldn't have no intention of shooting just to get her to sign on is some shystery nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good for Matthew Vaughn for spilling the tea, as the kids used to say, right?
as the kids used to say. Now, granted, like Matthew Vaughn, it's good for him for saying, you know what, I won't do that to this actress. That seems really fucked up. And if you guys are going to do that, I don't want to be a part of it. When he did sign on to X-Men First Class, they had a character named Darwin, played by Edie Gathecki, I think is how you pronounce his last name. But his whole power was like, I can adapt to anything. And then they kill him. Like, so the first of these young X-Men you're going to kill is a black guy who can adapt to anything? Really? Really? Come on, guys.
They just never learn.
You never learn. But anyway.
Hey, while I'm thinking of it, I'm sitting this brick wall behind me, kids. I'm at the world famous Improv in the 80s. You're watching USA Network, and I'm about to do
Up all night.
I'm about to do a set. Yeah, it's Friday night at 1 a.m.
HBO's Young Comedy, Young Comedians.
Rodney
Howie
Dangerfield will
Mandel.
be along very shortly. Catch a rising star, kids. Right here, catch a rising star in the 80s. I am at Smodcastle Cinemas here in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. Smodcastle is right below me. And in Smodcastle, right below me on November 3rd, we got two great filmmakers coming to Smodcastle. I'm going to interview them.
Who are they?
Who are they? Why, it's the Russo brothers, Mark. That's right. Joe and Anthony Russo are coming here, man, for a nice chit chat about their lives and careers and magical movies that they've made. Tickets on sale right now at smodcastleCinemas.com. Go scap up your tickets, man. It's going to be a hell of a night chit-chatting with the Russo brothers, man. Think about it.
Very nice.
Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, all the wars. No, Endgame, probably Secret War.
Ooh.
Lots to talk about with the Russo brothers. Really good guys, man.
The Gray Man.
Yes. Yeah. And as well as all the shit they've been doing on, fucking Netflix with their
Extractions.
What's their company called?
Agbo.
Really nice dudes who I've spoken to a few times over the years. I fucking love those two Avengers movies. I make no apologies for that shit. I mean,
sit, Agbo, sit.
It's not really a hot take. I'm like, I like both those fucking Avengers movies. People like everybody likes those.
Yeah, the biggest movies of all time.
Yeah, like holy shit, Kev, are you sure you want to say that? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll say it right here now.
On Beyonce's internet, you're gonna say that?
Banff.
Hey, Banff, man, what's up?
If we were in the MCU, you know what today is? Today is the day that Tony Stark saved half of us.
So is that right? So all of Avengers Endgame took place in 2023? I guess because of the 5-year jump?
Yeah. That's what everybody on the internet was saying. October 17th, 2023 is Tony Stark Day. This
is the day that he fucking pulls all the gems off of Thanos' fist and fucking dies for all of us. God damn it, he took such a fucking punch, man. Like right before, I mean, I know it's all fictional and shit. Thanos isn't even real. But he fucking, when he goes for those gems that like last time before Thanos, when he's like, I am inevitable, and he goes to snatch. Watch how hard Thanos fucking punches that fucking guy.
Yep.
Again, I know we're talking about like it was a fight, a boxing match. But none of the shit's real, but it's fucking nuts, man. Like some of my favorite moments in both of those movies involve people fighting fucking Thanos. Naturally, of course, the fucking, Captain America picking up Mjolnir is magical and shit, but also fucking Captain Marvel fighting Thanos, where he headbutts her and she don't even fucking.
She headbutts him right back.
Yeah. Oh god, it was so awesome.
You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are.
Oh, fucking, that's another magical moment. You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. You will. And she almost fucking killed him, man.
Yeah, she's the one he's
He
afraid
didn't
of.
fucking rain fire. That was it. She fucking took all his clothes off and shit. She raised him in the air and took his clothes off. She was like, look at his little dick. She was gonna shame him first. Everyone looking up in the air and seeing that purple little set of nuts hanging out. And then she was gonna fucking crush him and shit. If I was her with all that magic power, if I'm the Scarlet Witch, like I'm like a few minutes away from becoming the Scarlet Witch, and I still have all that power, and I hate that fucking vision killing piece of shit, I would have fucking raised him up in the air, ripped off his clothes like she did, then ripped off his dick, magically shoved it in his mouth before he had a chance to rain fire.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to talk to the Russo brothers about, Mark, when they come to Smod Castle November 3rd.
Do you think that Thanos knows what a Colombian necktie is?
Like, here's where you guys fucked up, okay? I've been waiting to say it for years. Scarlet Witch should have ripped Thanos' dick off, shoved it in his mouth.
First, let me tell you about Colombia, Thanos. Here's what they would do all the time.
They're like, wasn't it enough that Thor cut his head off? I'm like, no.
Easy.
He killed Gamora, cut his dick off and shove it in his mouth.
All right. Moving on.
Yes.
Guillermo del Toro revealed that he wanted to make a Star Wars movie about Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, I read that. That would have been fun.
Not that long ago in this galaxy, Guillermo del Toro hoped to make a Star Wars movie. But he wanted to tell about the franchise and notorious crime lord, Jabba the Hutt. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, apparently, he wanted to do the rise and fall of Jabba. And his team designed a great world full of great stuff that del Toro was very happy with. But it never went into development, ultimately because it's not my property, it's not my money, and it's one of those 30 screenplays that just goes away. Basically, Lucasfilm didn't like it enough to put it into production. Which, listen, I get. Like, as much as there's a version of if you give me an episode of a TV show that is just the Jabba story, sure. To spend $100 million on a feature film about Jabba the Hutt, not every character needs to be the hero that we all get to see.
I'd have been there. I'd have gone for that one. But I'm with you. I would have much rather watched the series, though. Matthew Hegarty in chat says, technically, they killed the Thanos who hadn't done all the things they blamed him for yet. Well, technically, they killed both Thanos. They killed the Thanos that fucking snapped everyone out of existence. And then they killed another Thanos who, to be fair, was not innocent.
Yeah, he did a lot of awful shit already.
Yeah, he just hadn't done the snap yet, but was trying to, as we saw at the fucking very end and shit. I know this loops back, but God, remember how hard he punched Tony fucking Stark? Just go back and watch that. Never mind watching fucking, Six kill a baby in Battlestar Galactica. Go back and watch Thanos punch fucking Tony Stark, man. How he lives through that hit, I'll never know. Probably because they're both fictional. But
the physics of that punch, yeah, it's fake physics at best.
I can't believe we got away with talking about a Guillermo del Toro fucking Jabba series without Banff Man jumping in.
I know, seriously. What do you think, Banff Man?
Banff. The way I would have done it is like 4 rooms where your Jabba is the anchor point and you use different aliens in his court and you tell their stories about why they're in the court, like the old school book Tales from Jabba's Palace. I think that could be very compelling. That's how I do it. Lucasfilm will never hire me for anything, but that's how I do it.
Samesies. But yeah. Or you get
they just did. You're doing a comic book.
Well, Marvel hired me. Lucasfilm just didn't bounce me.
in chat, Big T 1377 said Tony Stark built this in a cave with scraps.
There's a great anecdote in the MCU book about how dismayed Jeff Bridges was on the set of Iron Man, because like he thought there was a script when he showed up to go to work. And he's like, almost every day was Favreau and Downey huddled in a trailer for like 5 hours inventing that day's work. And Jeff Bridges is just like playing games with the crew on set. And he's like, how do you make a movie like this? What is happening?
So it's always been like that at Marvel?
From the jump, where it's like, Downey just wouldn't like what they were shooting that day. So he and Favreau would just figure it out as they went. And there's a great anecdote where at one point Favreau was like, you know what? I think we're going to kill all this cave stuff at the beginning of the movie. And the production designer was like, John, we built the cave. We're shooting the cave. It's like, oh, all right, we built the cave, so I guess we'll shoot that stuff. And that's the heart of the movie.
Yeah.
It's him and Yemsen and like learning morality and all of that stuff was gonna go until somebody just literally was like, we've already spent millions of dollars building this cave. We're shooting the cave. Okay.
You read, did you read that book?
I did. I did.
Thing?
Uh-huh.
How fast to read was it?
It was an incredibly fast read because I'm deeply interested in subject matter. And a lot of it was, I have been also a careful observer of Marvel, low these past 15 years, sometimes as a journalist, sometimes as a watcher. And like there was the stuff that I thought I knew pretty well, the stuff that I kind of like thought I understood. But almost every chapter, there's a thing that I just didn't know that like was previously hitherto withheld from prying eyes. It's an extraordinary piece of work. So yeah, I highly recommend it.
I got to tell you, man, it could be what Marvel. Everyone's like Marvel's this, Marvel's that. Could be what Marvel's been missing is just Robert Downey Jr. Sounds like he did a lot of free writing.
Get that guy back in a writer's room. It'll only cost you $50 million.
More than that. How much did you say? 1.5 or 5.0?
5.0.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's for sure. I'm telling you, man, if they want him back, it's probably going to be 100. And they'd be crazy not to pay it at this point.
I mean, there are all the rumors of what Secret Wars is. Either it's some version from the comic book that we know, whatever it is, but it's an opportunity for them to dip back into that fucking well and just give us the things that they've not been giving us for the last, 5 years or so. And like, would they spend $100 million to get Robert Downey Jr. back for one movie, for 3 scenes in one movie? Yeah, they will. Will Chris Evans decide like, hey, you know what? I want to take one more swing with this shield. Like, you know what? Fine. What do you want? What do you want? And then that also lets them recast things in continuity. That also lets you recast, hey, we want a different Thor now. Hey, we want a different Tony Stark now. We still want him to be in the movies, but now as he's being played by, I don't know, whomever. Pick a dude.
M. Molina 2121 in chat says if the MCU doesn't move into X-Men and Fantastic Four soon, no one will care. I'm not saying he's right 100%, but they really should fucking start playing their X-Men cards and their Fantastic Four cards.
I think Fantastic
Four. All I keep reading about is like they're gonna reboot it Secret Wars, but it's like, yeah, well, that's years from now. I mean, you're gonna staunch the bleeding before then?
I mean, our friend of the show, Matt Shackman, is directing Fantastic Four, and according to him, they've already cast it. Like, it's not even a matter of, we're not sure. It's like, no, we know who the cast is. They're not announcing it while the actors are still on strike, but they know who it is.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. As for X-Men, like, it's the one thing they actually have to get perfect. It's the thing that everybody wants and has always wanted. And so, like, take your time. Absolutely take your time. Like, do not rush it. Which, if if it was my money, and I know it's not, and I know how hard a thing it is to do, but I feel like they should have just taken a break after Endgame. Like Endgame is the end of that story. And the minute we come off of Endgame with other movies, with other characters, it's like, no, this is not actually what we want. We actually want it to stop. We want it to feel like an ending because that's the ending. Um, and then give it a couple of years of not having fucking superheroes in our faces, and then come back strong. Whether that strong is Fantastic Four, whether that strong is X-Men, whether that strong is Deadpool 3, which then leads you into the X-Men. I don't know, but you know, I liked Shang-Chi just fine. I didn't really care that much about Doctor Strange 2. The Eternals was whatever. Um, Nothing that has come out since has been like amazing other than the Sony stuff, other than the Spider-Man stuff. And like, but hey, again, we're just armchair detectiving, we're just armchair studio running. It's all dreamy.
What else we got in the news side?
We got a couple stories out of New York Comic Con. First off, Tom Hardy is getting into comic books with Scott Snyder. And the two of them are teaming up for a book called Arcbound, with Hardy as the creative collaborator, is the title that he's taking on it. Scott Snyder is writing it along with Frank Thierry, longtime Marvel head. The 12-issue series takes place in a future where Earth is a barren wasteland. The formula corporatocracy harnesses the unmatched energy of chromium to assert its dominion across the stars. And the Arcbound series chronicles the journey of Kai, a resolute mediator captain tasked with the maintaining of blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff is without context is just kind of wordy word stuff. But I like Scott Snyder quite a bit. I think Tom Hardy's a smart dude. I'm curious. Also out of New York Comic Con, a new comic book production company called Ghost Machine was announced. Ghost Machine comes from Jeff Johns, Brad Meltzer, Lamont McGee, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Francis Manipool, Peter J. Tomasi. Like, it's something of an all-star collaboration between writers and artists, all of which will connect into this vast universe. Books are coming out through Image. Ghost Machine is a production company that will already set up these things in other media. I mean, Jeff Johns, it's hard to bet against that dude in comics.
And it's got Brad Meltzer as well.
And Brad Meltzer is super smart. I love Brad Meltzer's work.
Yeah.
Lamont McGee is the Secret Weapon. He was on Black Lightning for the entire run. He did the Star Wars Jedi Adventures. Super deep nerd. I'll see what they're up to.
Heavens, yes. Heavens, yes.
Yeah. And then finally, it's been a couple of weeks now, but Keith Giffen
Yes.
passed away.
The late great Keith Giffen.
Speaking of Lobo,
responsible for one of the most fun comic book runs in history. They did the Justice League, the fun Justice League. Justice League America, Justice League. Well, Justice League it was called, and then they did Justice League Europe, Justice League JLI, Justice League International. Created the Blue Beetle,
the Jaime Reyes version.
Gold. Well, no, but the Blue Beetle Booster Gold team ups in the old Justice League. Batman punching Guy Gardner, fucking knocking him out in one punch. John Jones,
one punch.
Oreos later on becoming Chacos and stuff. He wrote some amazing stories. How old was he?
He was 70 years old.
Did
and
he
like
co-create Rocket Raccoon?
Yeah, he created Rocket Raccoon. Again, the Jaime Reyes version of Blue Beetle he created with John Rogers and Raphael Albuquerque, and Cully Hamner. The announcement of his passing was, as I understand it, I've never met Keith, but was perfectly in character. Where on Facebook Wednesday, the Wednesday he passed, there was a post pre-written by Giffen who knew he was passing, said, quote, "I told them I was sick. Anything not to go to New York Comic Con. Thanks. Blah ha 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 ha."
Oh, he used blah ha 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 ha.
He did.
He did that all the time in the Justice League comics.
Yeah. A stroke is being attributed as the cause of death.
What a talented guy. Wrote some beautiful stories and wasted some of my time in the sweetest way. Thank you. Thank you, man of words, for wasting my time in the best way possible.
Indeed.
What a legend. He'll be missed, man.
Very much so.
But you know what? Glad he was here, because that incarnation of the Justice League, one of my favorites. I loved reading those stories issue after issue.
That's the news.
Mark Walrus Onion in chat says Mark Goddard, who played Major West on Lost in Space, he passed. As did Phyllis Coates, the 1950s Lois, the first live-action Lois Lane.
No.
She also passed. Sad as shit.
As did Piper Laurie. Passed.
Piper Laurie passed as well. They're all gonna laugh at you. Carrie's mom, also Twin Peaks, also The Hustler. What an amazing actress she was. 91, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Such amazing life. And of course, Suzanne Summers passed away just this weekend, sadly.
Long battle with breast cancer.
Yeah, that was I didn't realize that was the case, because I was like, what? She looked so young, even though she was like 77 or 78. She still looked incredibly young. But yeah, apparently a long battle with breast cancer since like the year 2000, 23-year battle. She's married to her husband for like 55 years, man. She was as famous as it got when we were kids.
Yeah, man. I mean, Three's Company, it's hard to imagine today how big a show Three's Company was.
It was like Friends, bro.
Yeah.
In terms of how fucking huge and popular it was. They got a lot of seasons out of it.
Yeah. Like, and it's even like that show was huge at a time when every show was huge. You know, it's hard to imagine what those numbers were, but there were only 3 fucking channels, and everybody watching TV was watching one of 3 shows at any given time. So even the 20th show in the top 20 was getting 14, 15 million people watching it. And Three's Company was the #1 show.
She was, George DeWitt pointed out, Suzanne Summers was 76 one day from being 77. She died the day before her birthday. Victor Venn Diagram said, did we discuss Arlene Sorkin in another episode? I don't know if we ever did get to.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Arlene Sorkin passed a couple months back. Of course, the original voice of Harley Quinn, who I interviewed on Batman years ago. Lovely woman, and is largely responsible for Harley Quinn even being created in the first place. Paul Dini will tell you.
Very true.
So yes, we lost her as well. Yeah, man. Oh, somebody said in chat, as a 90s kid, F. Kuzma said, as a 90s kid, she will always be Carol Foster to me. That was from what, Step by Step?
Yeah.
Summers. I didn't watch Step by Step.
Hey, no.
As a George Lucas kid, she'll be the blonde in the white T-Bird in American Graffiti.
That's right. Long before she was on Three's Company, man. She was the girl in the what is it, white T-Bird or something? Yeah, man. God, she worked with George Lucas. All those 70s people knew each other.
They were all fucking.
Jim Tomlin pointed out we missed another one. Michael Gambon from Harry Potter. He passed away a month ago, or while we were off making the movie.
That's true.
Yeah, man. Why do all these people have to go? Don't go.
Time waits for no person.
DJ said, "End the Thigh Master." That's right. We didn't fucking. That was a huge chunk of her fucking career at one point. Was Thank you, Thigh Master. Red Comet said, "Rip to rest in peace to the best Dumbledore." Michael Gambon.
I feel like we talked about that because I remember what's his face, Sean Harris, Richard Harris's son, went on the record saying that, like, my if anybody could have picked up for my father, like my father always loved Michael Gambon's work. Richard Harris being the actor who originated the role on screen of Dumbledore. He was like, he always loved his work. So we were all very happy that he was the man chosen to don the silly hat.
That all the news?
That's all the news, my friend.
There you go, kids. That's all that's going on in this business of show. Let's see. Stanley in chat says, any live shows coming? Oh, hell yeah.
No idea when.
Me and Mark were talking about, we'll probably be doing one at the Scum and Villainy Cantina coming up in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about coming out to Smodcastle in November and doing a thing. We're figuring out dates.
Yeah.
Meantime, of course, as previously mentioned, the Russo brothers are coming to Smodcastle November 3rd. November 11th is the Zack and Miri 15th anniversary. Come celebrate 15 years of Zack and Miri at smodcastlecinemas.com for tickets. And then December 2nd, we have Smauction, which is just a whole auction. We do those auctions of props and costumes and sign lithographs and shit like that before big shows. Well, this is the whole show, just in time for Christmas. I gotta go get a charger because my laptop is dying. So vamp, will you?
Yeah.
Anthony, come on in here and vamp with Mark, and let's figure out what our questions are going to be.
Indeed. Bam. Ask us these questions 3.
Somebody in chat said American Graffiti was not filmed in Modesto. We'll do trivia. I host trivia on Wednesday nights. I'll be hosting trivia tomorrow night. Do you know where American Graffiti was filmed? Because Modesto was too modern. Here's also something crazy. American Graffiti was filmed in like 1973, 74, about 1962. If we made American Graffiti today, it would be about the year 2010. Can you imagine how much of the world changed between 62 to 75 that you can make a nostalgia film that was only 10 years old? Crazy.
Yeah, like what's the nostalgia that anybody has for like 2002? I mean, I don't think I have any.
What do I miss about 2010? Being in my 20s.
Yeah, I have nostalgia for my knees.
Yeah.
Remember when my back didn't hurt just trying to stand up? Yo, that was lovely. Remember I could eat whatever I wanted to?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, my metabolism is what I would make my nostalgia about.
I know.
I'm fired up, kids.
You fired up?
Powered up, man. All right, let's do this.
We'll start with this one because we had 2 people ask the same question. Both Robert Mills and Laura D wanted to know what was our favorite trick-or-treat costumes growing up.
Well, one thing I think you have to remember about the life that one led in the 1970s is that, by and large, Halloween costumes were just fucking hefty trash bags with appliques of muscles on them. The costume technology was not advanced in the 70s. It was either paper or plastic. I almost never got like a custom-made costume. My mom was not that lady who was sitting down with fucking sewing machine patterns to figure out how to make me into Boba Fett or whatever. It didn't happen. But I think my favorite was probably Batman, only because I had a cape. And capes were the shit, even though that cape was made of plastic and snagged on everything. I'm gonna say Batman.
What was the question again?
Our
Growing up.
favorite kids. Go ahead.
Oh, growing up, your favorite trick or treat costume?
I mean, I remember like a lot of like kids were bums. Remember, like you'd burn a cork and you'd put like a fucking like 5 o'clock shadow on you, and you wore
Hmm.
ratty clothes and you carried a bindle stiff. Um, I just remember that a lot. Like, um, my favorite outfit I think we ever did was me and Mike Bellicose made Ghostbuster um, outfits and
Mm.
our own proton packs. And the outfits were so fucking good that Bellicose's older brother Timmy, and his friend, one of his friends, borrowed them for like Henry Hudson's senior dress up day and shit. They're pretty good outfits. The more I think about it, like me and Bells did a really nice job. Um, but I like those outfits. It was probably the best Halloween costume I've ever had in my life. I was Venkman.
I
Nice.
uh I dressed as Voltron when I was like 6, and that was pretty cool.
You and a couple friends, or just you by yourself?
I just me by myself. It was me and my brother. My brother is a pirate, I think. Not like just generic pirate, and I was Voltron, Lion Voltron, not Vehicle Voltron. Although
Well, yeah.
my favorite Halloween costume of all time may be uh, 2 years ago. We dressed my daughter up as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man when she was like 11 months old, and I went as
Oh,
a Ghostbuster, and that was pretty cool.
oh, that's dope.
Oh,
But I had like
That,
the
I mean, that's
money, so I bought the big proton. I went full out for it, you know.
you didn't make yours out of a cardboard box.
No, I was 40 years old when I went, so I I hit
I mean, though,
Spirit
shouldn't
Halloween
it
hard.
technically have gone the other way? Shouldn't she have been a Ghostbuster and you were the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man?
Yes, although she has like the chubbiest
Size wise,
cheeks.
that would
Yeah.
have made a lot of sense. But chubby baby wise, I could see what.
Yeah.
He's Michelin Man, that kid.
All
Um,
right. Yeah.
let's see. Keeping with the Halloween theme, what's the movie that scared you the most as a kid, and what's the movie that scared you the most as an adult? That's from Shelby Fielding.
Mm.
Say again.
Answer.
Scariest movie you saw when you were a kid. Scariest movie you saw as an adult.
Scariest movie I saw when I was a kid. When I was a little kid, it was it Don't Be Afraid of the Dark with the little creatures that lived in the baseboard?
Mm.
Who were like always whispering. They would whisper. And like the lady shrinks down and is captive with them for all eternity at the end of the flick. It was a TV movie.
Oh, damn.
Fucking terrifying. Um, but The Shining erased that for me as a kid. The two twin girls in The Shining still unnerve me to this day. And as an adult, I mean, nothing that scares me, but one of the most unnerving scenes I remember from like a quasi horror movie is a movie with Jeff Goldblum called Mr. Frost, where he plays the devil, essentially. He's a guy in an insane asylum with Kathy Baker, I think her name is. And he is like, he maintains he's the devil. And she's like, yeah, right. And then over the course of the movie, he kind of proves that he is. But at one point, she's watching a video of, I guess, either child abuse or a child killing. And God, this is horrible. This is the second time this has come up in the fucking show today. It's her face, Kathy Baker's face, while she's watching this thing. You don't see the thing. You just see her turn a TV on. It goes from static to this image and then cuts to her face and she's watching. And you just hear this kid very like lightly crying, and instantly she fucking like like she plays it. I'm doing it. I'm not even doing it justice. The horror in her face like told the story way better than any grisly image would have. And she shuddered and started crying and stuff. That always stays with me because it's like you never saw what they saw. You know, when we were kids, we had faces of death and shit like that. And the older you got, the more you realize, oh, they made up a lot of that shit. It wasn't real. And this was made up too, but my God, it just fucking, it chills me the fuck out.
There.
How you?
The Exorcist was the scariest movie that I saw as a kid. I remember seeing it. I must have been like 12 or 13, and held such disdain for it. I was like, it's fucking. This movie was made the same year I was born. How scary could it be? And then I watched it, and you know, it's the kind of horror that I remembered. I remember loving in the way that one loves horror, in that it was almost entirely cerebral. It was never the gore that got me. It was never the viscera that got me. It was always the intellectual of it. The like just thinking about the what possession is and what possession means. And that idea of you are not in control of your own body. You're not even a passenger anymore. I just remember it frightening the shit out of me. Like I was hiding behind a couch, building like a pillow fort to keep the movie further away from me. Because I was an adorable kid. 1983. Today, you know, like I am not a horror movie person. I've exclaimed that to the highest. That I do not enjoy jump scares. I do not enjoy that feeling. So like The Money Pit is a movie that scares me today. The idea is like, oh shit, real estate horror. Like I bought a house that I thought was going to be great, and I end up sinking a fortune and my sanity into it. Yeah, that's scary to me. You know, like, you know, Falling Down is a movie that's scary to me. There are documentaries that are scary of like, oh yeah, no, this is the world. You guys, by the way, we are barely hanging on. But yeah, because I'm not a horror person, it's not that is not an itch that I try to scratch. The world can be scary enough.
Yeah, Victor Venn Diagram said Wall Street, where the bad guy becomes the hero to an entire generation of people.
Yeah, like Fight Club is scary. You know, like I remember seeing that movie like 3 years ago, for the first time since it was in theaters. I'm like, oh shit, no, this is just how terrorists get made. Oh, this is just like unchecked, you know, aimless rage. Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
this is awful.
The Joker
Yeah.
for me. I watched that like during the pandemic, and I was like, oh my gosh, this just feels irresponsible.
Film Ramblings with Hero 004 said Kevin Tony had made contact with the gauntlet and taken the stones by the time Thanos punched him. He was using the power of one of the stones to take the power of the punch. You buy that?
I don't buy Tony Stark knowing how to modulate and employ the use of individual stones the minute he gets it. Granted, he's a very smart guy, but I don't quite buy that. I think he just took a fucking shot to the chops. And the suit has some impact resistance and shock absorbing natures and all that shit. It is a suit of armor after all, but still. You know what's fucking scary? Funny Games. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh, fuck. You're absolutely right. It is. That is a terrifying and unnerving movie. Both
Yeah,
versions.
both of them.
The
Michael
original
Haneke, who made
German
both.
and the remake are fucking terrifying. How those kids like address the camera, how they are just with the family, but then when they address the camera, it gets even more. Good call. That is a fucking unnerving movie.
Because it is just like we're going to do violence because we want to do violence. And nobody asked for it. Nobody fucking walked into it. Like nobody did anything wrong. It is just chaos arriving in your house and you can't do anything about it. That shit is frightening.
I
Uh,
uh I was
yeah.
terrified as a kid, nightmares terrified of Labyrinth. I think I watched it too
Mm,
young, and just
that's
the
fair.
goblin puppets just absolutely scared me. And it was like I probably saw it when it came out on video, so 86 or 87, so maybe I was 5 or 6 years old. And it was like real, like the goblin could come and actually take you. Um and I had a baby sister. It was, yeah, Labyrinth. And then I made the mistake of going to the movie theater to see Event Horizon when that came out.
Oh shit! That fucking scene of madness. That's a. Oh wow. Yeah,
That
that's
was a
crazy.
mistake. Because I thought it was a sci-fi movie. I do not like horror movies at all,
And
like Mark.
they gotcha.
And yeah, I was like, wait, at about 45 minutes into that movie, I was like, oh, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, there are movies that I've never seen. It Follows. Um, but I like the idea is frightening. Like, you know what? Good enough. I get it. Fine. Uh, I will grant you that that's probably scary.
Um,
Uh, what
You
else?
know who I saw on the picket line?
Who?
Leslie Ann Warren from Clue,
Clue.
Miss Scarlet. And I was like, I loved you in Clue. And she was walking in, she's a woman of a certain age. But I was like, I was at my friend's movie theater and we programmed it. And an audience of like 200 people laughed their asses off. She was like, oh, bless your heart. Thank you.
That rocks.
all right, last question.
Here we go, kids. Last question of the evening, man.
This is from Ear Mixin. Wants to
Oh, hold
know.
on. JML Midnight in chat. No, JML in chat says midnight showing of the Blair Witch the week it opened. Remember that fucking end of the movie where Mike is facing the wall and Heather's just screaming and shit? Oh my God.
I started Sundance.
You were there.
I was there for that year. And like the mixture of no idea what it was, plus like thin atmosphere and exhaustion, like fuck.
I have told this story many times, but John Pearson, who was the producer's rep on Clerks, one of my dear friends, he was involved with the Blair Witch Kids. That started kind of as a short on his show, Split Screen. They kind of
Mm.
showcased the legend of the Blair Witch there before they finished the movie. For who put that out? It wasn't Lionsgate.
Um,
They don't.
Miramax, right? Was it Miramax or New Line?
Oh, Summit. I forget his company. I don't think. Was it Lionsgate? No. What was the name of that?
Artisan Artisan in the
Artisan.
U.S.
That's it.
Summit
Artisan. It was Artisan. They don't
International.
exist anymore. They were like they were kind of a quasi Miramax, almost A24ish of their time. Artisan made like kind of classy movies.
Yeah.
In any event, that was fucking. That shit was the story I've told before. Pearson repped that movie, so he had given me a copy on VHS, and I hadn't watched it. And so they went to Sundance, and the buzz out of Sundance was huge. And Jennifer Schwalbach, who I was like in a brand new relationship with at that point, she was like, I told her, I was like, hey man, there's all this buzz about this movie called The Blair Witch Project. We have it on VHS. Do you want to watch it tonight? And she was like, yeah, okay. And so we started watching it and I fell asleep. I was just not because of the movie. I was just tired and shit. Although the movie is not like, fucking keep you awake. It, plods along in the beginning and stuff. So I fell asleep watching it, and I get woken up by the end of the movie by a hysterical Jennifer Schwalbach, who's like, "Oh my God, get up, get up!" And I was like, what's happened? What happened?" And she was like, "These kids, what's going on? Like, why won't anybody help them?" And I was like, what do you mean?" And she's like, "Why won't anybody help them? Like, they were, how could this fucking happen? Why won't anyone help these kids?" And I'm like, this movie's not real. And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "This isn't fucking real. This is make pretend. It just looks real." Because this is one of the first found footage movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, "Oh, I don't believe you." I was like, "I can call John Pearson, man. He'll fucking tell you the same thing." I was like, "Fucking, you ask Stan Grossman. He'll tell you the same." Fucking Fargo and shit. And so she was like, "Bullshit." And I was like, I called up John Pearson, who was at Sundance. And I was like, "John, like, fucking Jennifer is freaking the fuck out. She just woke me up because she thinks Blair Witch Project is real." I was like, "Can you talk to her?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll talk to her." And I handed her the phone. I couldn't hear their conversation, but all I heard was her going, "John, why won't anyone help you?" And then there's silence, and she goes, "Are you sure?" And she goes, "I don't believe you." And silence, and then she's like, "Oh." She's like, and the other, she's going, "I can." It was fucking over 20 years ago this happened.
I hear you.
But I'll never fucking forget her being like, "Why won't anyone help them?" That's how realistic that Blair Witch Project movie was. She fucking the fuck out of it, man. "Why won't anyone help them?" Like, it broke her brain. Like, we're watching a movie where these fucking kids are being imperiled, but nobody will help them. And I'm like, yes, like, didn't you piece all this together? All right. What's our last one?
Last one.
You told me that it was real.
I did. In the beginning, I was like,
You're lying.
I was like, "This is a real documentary. Let's watch it." Good night. And I fell asleep watching it. Why won't anyone help them? John? Why won't anyone help them? Okay. What is it?
Shifting gears completely. Ear mixing. If you could make any character from comics Speaker of the House, who do you pick?
I mean, Captain America or Superman are my top two choices. Because, you know, what they keep telling us in the news, this job makes you fucking second in line to the presidency or third in line to the presidency. So I would want somebody third in line to the presidency that, you know, historically we could trust. A fair, scrupulous, moral character.
Mm-hmm.
So you got one of those cats. Although I'm tempted to make Batman the House Speaker. You'll never see him.
Nah.
Yeah,
where is it?
Come out of nowhere and shit. It would hit hard.
Yes, the congressman's from Gotham. Does he ever get a say? Not today.
Hands down, I say Superman. Although Superman used to be about truth, justice, and the American way, and now he's like truth, justice, and get out of my way. No, they changed it. What it's not the American way now. It's just truth, justice, and
let's say justice again. Because justice is important.
And even more justice.
My left hand is truth, my right hand is justice.
What about you?
You know, like there's the ideological way to go, which I feel like the Steve Rogers version is pretty strong. But I'm feeling either like RoboCop or Dr. Manhattan.
You were in violation of
Vote now or there will be trouble.
Dr. Manhattan. Oh, that'd be badass.
You know, like somebody
I said, leave me alone. They all go away. Just teleports fucking both houses someplace.
Like, where's he now? He's on Mars, but he's also here. And he's also voting, but he's also redefined democracy.
Hey man, we can't finance the government if the fucking government's not here. Where'd he send him? Like he sent him to Mars, to a crystal palace, so they can sort out this shit. He hit him with the fucking real gavel.
Thud. No, but I like RoboCop. I think Alex Murphy. He's seen some shit about some shit. Knows what to buy for $1 and what not to buy for $1. Understands the way the legal system works because it's been written into his programming. As long as he's not a pawn of OCP, of Omni Consumer Products, I feel like he's an upstanding American, and he'll get it done.
From Detroit.
That or fucking Aretha Franklin from the Blues Brothers. You better think about what you're trying to do to me. You better think. Like,
it would also make all those proceedings musical.
I mean,
they could always break out in a song.
It'll be like Cop Rock, but for the House of Representatives.
So weird you say that, because that's the first thing that went through my head too. And I was building a Cop Rock joke, and then I was abandoning it because I was just like, fucking that would be dope, man. If fucking like C-SPAN would become like MTV. Every time there was a hearing, she'd burst out in a song and shit.
House music all day long. House of Representatives music.
It was always "You Better Think."
Yes. Like, all right, what are we trying to do to you? You try to pass this law that nobody wants passed. You try to put this motion into motion. Too much motion is
you don't use the jaws. Yeah, think about what you're trying to do to me. What about you, Banff man?
Everything that's happening in Congress reminds me of kind of like a sarcastic reality show. I think Deadpool would be a great ringleader for a bunch of clowns. I mean, it'd be must-see TV, whichever side you're on.
Scott Levy said The Punisher.
That is definitely a choice.
Hazy Wave said, "Don't you blaspheme in here."
2 whole fried chickens.
He wants 4 fried chickens and a Coke.
The
one wants dry white toast. Elwood. And the other wants 4 fried chickens and a Coke. Jake! Shit, that's the Blues Brothers. Matt Guitar Murphy.
Yeah. Coming in like a couple of Hasidic diamond merchants.
Murph and the Magic Tones. Such disdain in his voice.
Murph.
What about you, Banff man? Who'd you pick?
You picked Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Oh, Deadpool. That's right. We did them all.
Ooh, Silent Bob for speaker.
Evan Fowler said in chat, "Did you bring me my cheese whiz, boy?" That was somebody who worked on the show, like casting director or costumes or something like that. That the guy who says that in the Blues Brothers is actually one of the crew. The show band danced J2K2 said Joliet Jake and Elwood Blues. Won't you welcome from Calumet City, Illinois, the show band of Joliet Jake and Elwood Blues, the Blues Brothers. Fucking, they put Cab Calloway in a movie.
Yeah.
Cab Calloway.
Not only did they put him in the movie, they gave him a full-ass fucking song.
Yeah, yes. And he had a huge part, a meaningful fucking part. And this is a guy who, like, was the king of the Cotton Club at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that, yeah, like when they jump into that fucking dance, Minnie the Moocher number, that's what his life looked like when he was younger at the Cotton Club.
Yeah, the bandstand and the fucking 3-piece tux and the top hat and All of the fucking band is in tuxes and everything.
Could you imagine like you're Cab Calloway and you're like, well, I had my moment and fucking, Cotton Club's gone and everything's different now, and you're in the '80s and shit, and fucking like two of the hottest comedians on the planet come to you and they're like, we want you to do that thing that you used to do. We want you to do Minnie the Moocher, like in this fucking giant fuck off movie. And we're going to make it look like it did back when you were at the Cotton Club. Like,
Yeah, it's like, are you updating it at all? No. We want you to do Minnie the Moocher the same way you would have done it in 1938. Okay.
Kind of beautiful. Like when you think about it, they fought them really hard. They Dan Aykroyd and John Landis, and of course John Belushi, wanted to bring in all these soul and blues legends and whatnot, and music legends. And the studio, of course, was like they wanted them to bring in the band that did Car Wash, which inarguably is a great fucking slam it too. Don't get me wrong, Car Wash, but
working at the car wash.
Yeah. They had their own whole ass movie and whatnot. But these cats, Belushi and particularly Dan Aykroyd and I guess to a lesser degree John Landis, they wanted like the classic legends, and they fought for them and they got them. And like because the studio is like, come on, man, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, fucking Cab Calloway. These people haven't had fucking hits in whenever. And then Aretha Franklin went on to like hit the charts again. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Who's Zooming Who and shit like that.
I mean, and I'm sure it helped that was a relatively cheap movie, despite destroying every car that existed in Detroit at the time.
And they actually dropped a car, not in Detroit, but in they were in Chicago. They went to nearby. Fuck, where did they drop that car? I want to say it was in Chicago. I read about it online, but they dropped a car, like in dropped it for the Nazi car that takes the Michelle D in chat says Cab Calloway actually didn't want to do Minnie the Moocher because he was pushing a disco version of the song at the same time. So here we were going like, oh, well, Cab Calloway must have been so excited. He was like, you are fucking my disco shit up.
I got these platform shoes. I got the fucking disco ball.
Rose Royce, that's who sang Car Wash. John Lee Hooker is just out on the street. Doesn't even talk, just a little boom, boom. Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, boom. Hey. Car Wash equals Rose Royce, the entire soundtrack, the first of the soundtrack album.
How.
Rest in peace, Jordan Peters says, rest in peace to our princess, Carrie Fisher. That's right. She was in there as well. Frank Oz as well. Steven Spielberg. Yeah, Frank Oz. T-Train said Frank Oz is the government guy out to lunch. No, Frank Oz was the guy, who's like one prophylactic when he's checking out Jake in the beginning.
He's the evidence guy mustering them out of prison. And Spielberg is the guy who's out to lunch.
That they got to pay. The Cook County Assessor's Office.
Right.
Come on. Baby,
don't you wanna go?
Howdy, hey. Stanley said, did Kevin get an award in Jersey? I did. I got from the Monmouth Arts folks. I got Monmouth Arts After Dark folks. I got.
Is it a sexy award?
Yeah, I did. Where is it? It's over there, but it's a really nice piece of glass.
Monmouth Arts After Dark.
I'm getting another award on Thursday from the good folks, the Friends of Firefighters, which is an event, the gala event, fundraiser event I'll be hosting on Thursday. Hey, Banff Man put it up. It's right there. You want to help out? Who don't fucking love firemen? You want to help out some firemen kids? Go bid. You can bid on win a berth, if you will, on the good ship Jay and Silent Bob when we go cruise askew in February. Me and Mark will be on it doing Fat Man Beyond.
That's like 4 months from now.
Yeah, it's coming close, man. It's coming like Christmas and shit. Well, after
Woo-hoo.
Christmas. That's right, kids. 4 months from now, you can spend 3 days on a boat with me and Mark and Jason Mewes, Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, Jason Lee, Ethan Suplee, Jennifer Schwalbach, Ralph Garman, Andy McElfresh. The list goes on and on. Cruises, Jay and Silent Bob's Cruises Q, Jay and Silent Bob cruisesq.com for more details. See me and Mark do Fat Man at Sea in international waters.
Ooh, Le Fat Man.
We're going to get out there and we're going to have knife fights and shit.
Le Fat Man now.
Look at that. Look at those cats.
Mm.
Who are those clowns? I don't know what's going on there.
I know.
JC put an ad up. That's what it looks like. Look at that. Look at all the fun activities we got going on. Join us on the high seas, Kev. Kids, Kev.
Yeah.
I was reading, James B. Smith said, Kev, has owning a movie theater given you a wider perspective on film and storytelling? Nah, not so much on film and storytelling because I spent a good portion of my life inside movie theaters long before I bought one. It does, as an exhibitor, make me very conscious of the running time of movies. I used to never care. As a filmmaker, I'm like, hey, man, make a movie as long as you want, fucking, or as short as you want. But, it's usually long movies that people complain about. So I was never one of those cats. I'm like, hey, man, it's your testimony. Do whatever you want. But now as a guy who, as a film exhibitor, somebody who's like making money off of movies that play in his theater, or not really. The movies draw people in and then selling popcorn to those folks. That's where the real money is instead.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like hypersensitive to running times of movies. Because if you give me a 3-hour movie, fuck, man, that's one less showtime we got to earn back that money and stuff. Keep them short. That's what I say.
Welcome to Killers of the Flower Moon.
How long is that movie?
320 something.
Really? All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I can't argue with him, man. Like Scorsese, this kid, I think he's got a future in film. He seems to know what to do with a camera. I think he's going to be around for a long time, so I'll give it a shot. Almost 4 hours. Wow.
Jose Munster asked, what movies did I buy from Criterion? Well, I'll tell you, Jose. I got the OG Night of the Living Dead. I got Wall-E, Malcolm X, The Princess Bride, Devil in a Blue Dress, Police Story 1, Police Story 2, it's a box set, Silence of the Lambs, and Godzilla 1954.
That's what you bought?
Yeah, I went for it.
Stoic Nick said it's called cinema. LOL. What? Just because it's long?
Cinema.
Cinema's long.
Don't
Miller 24/9/12 said, wasn't Taylor's movie almost 3 hours? Was that concert movie very long?
I don't know. I don't know the running time of it. I mean, the thing of it is, if an audience likes it, it almost doesn't matter how long it is. And clearly, $100 million in a weekend, it didn't hurt nobody.
Wild Samurai put in chat, Killers of the Tiny Bladder. It's a good joke.
Wally unrated? Yeah, Jigmeyer. All that.
A lot of people talking about the live action gargoyles that apparently there's somebody online let slip.
Yeah, no, Disney Plus is making a live action gargoyles TV show, which is glad for them. I don't have any gargoyles love or hate. It was just not my jam.
Yeah, it was kind of after us a little bit. It's after Batman the Animated Series, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Super Sean 064 in chat said the Marvels only an hour and 45 minutes.
Get out.
I've also seen a lot of stories. I mean, for whatever this is worth, take it with a grain of salt. That says that their box office ain't going to be. It's not tracking huge. The Taylor Swift movie is 2 hours and 48 minutes, according to Mike W.
Now it's a concert.
Yeah, if you're a fucking fan, that's a lot of entertainment. Well, so we got anything else?
The tank is empty. The
Thanks.
cupboard is bare.
Now people are just repeating stories that we've already done. Like Best Buy is going to stop carrying DVDs. Like we know. Gargoyles with Keith David. Yes. I'm trying to think, see if there's anything else. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Why It Butts said, Killers of the Flower Moon made in Oklahoma. They have great film tax rebates. Good to know. Good to know, man. Guys, did you watch The Boys Gen V yet? I have not. Is that live
Neither have
action
I.
or cartoon?
Live action. It's the college set.
I gotta try that out. Let's see. Napoleon movie, says Virginia native. They've made one.
Ridley Scott. Joaquin Phoenix, not even trying to do a French accent.
Rob, yeah, he's taking the fucking Kevin Costner and Robin Hood approach, eh?
Yep. It's like, you know what? I can't do it. It's gonna sound weird if I try. It's the Clooney's Boston in a Perfect Storm is non-existent.
Right. Robert Mills said Keith David is Hordak. You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. Masters of the Universe Revolution coming at the top of 2024. I think there's a trailer coming in November. For Geek Week.
That's right.
Ear Mixon said, when is your movie coming out? My movie? No, we just finished it. Just finished shooting. Find out. As soon as I know, I'll tell you. Believe me, I'll be all over that. Well, there it is, kids. We did a lot of chit chatting. Virginia native said Invincible new trailer also. Ooh, for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Loved Invincible. I look forward to watching season 2. Are they dropping all the episodes at once?
I don't know.
Matt, nothing about Toxie. Have they?
Apparently, it screened at Fantastic Fest to rapturous reviews response.
People liked it.
They seem to have, yeah.
That's Peter Dinklage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seattle KO says The Rocketeer is also coming to Disney Plus. What?
It's a thing that's been in the works for a while. David Oyelowo,
Girl Rocketeer.
has been, yeah, where he plays
she finds the rocket pack.
Yeah, I think he plays like a former Tuskegee Airman, and she finds the rocket pack, and they hired a new writer for it. But yeah, it's not a new thing. There was just a little bit of momentum shift on it, but I'm here for it. I love The Rocketeer.
Scott Pilgrim TV series, cartoon.
Looks great. The trailer looks amazing.
Trailer looks good.
Yeah, and they got the whole cast back.
All the voices, right? It's like
all the voices, yeah. And I think I remember listening to a quote from like Edgar Wright and Brian Lee O'Malley and Ben David Grabinski, they're all producing it together. So if one member of that cast said no, it would have kind of scuttled it because we just didn't want to recast anybody. But everybody was down and came to play.
In chat, Evan Fowler says no 2 halves for Invincible season 2. One next month, one next year, 4 eps each.
All right.
Charles Palma asks, what's your favorite film you've screened at Smodcastle? Great question. You mean like one of mine or just anything? Maybe the Jersey Girl, the uncut Jersey Girl.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that in fucking ages and stuff. And Raquel came out for it. That was a good time. All right, kids. We've got all I hear. Laura D says all I hear about in my house for my teenager is Five Nights at Freddy's. going to the Alamo Draft House for the first time to see it. That's a video game, right? And they turned it into a movie.
Yeah, I don't know I just remember that my son was all about Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm not sure if you encountered it as a game or as like a short or as some kind of viral online thing, YouTube, whatever. Um, I don't really know. It skipped me. It went all the way past me.
Hmm. Um, James B. Smith says, as a big fan of Chasing Amy, will the documentary be a good, affirming watch? Yeah, Chasing Amy, which opened the Smodcastle, second annual Smodcastle Film Festival, was really, really great. Sav did a
Hmm.
wonderful job with that documentary. Get Swifty said, your favorite, Kevin, is the one that makes the theater money. Yeah, I love any movie that fucking sells out and stuff like that. Speaking of which, Zach and Mary Make a Porno 15th anniversary screening coming up. But before that, me and the Russo brothers, November 3rd. Get your tickets now, kids. Go to smodcastleCinemas.com. It's only about 3 more events for Smodcastle for the end of the year. There's the Russo brothers, there's Zach and Mary Make a Porno, there's Smauction. Josh Mundhall just pointed out that Moonlighting is on Hulu now. You were talking about it before we went, right?
Yeah, I watched the pilot and I haven't seen it in 30 some odd years because I watched it first run. Um, Maybe I saw reruns of the season the summer that it had aired, but like it had never really, I think it had gotten a home video release that I didn't buy because whatever.
Right.
And I was astonished to discover that I remembered every scene in that pilot. And it's a 90-minute pilot. And I'm like, I remember this bit. I remember this bit. Oh, he's going to say this now. I remember like this weird sense memory of Moonlighting. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is the finale when they have to climb the ladder to get up to the clock face at the Eastern Standard Building, and she's going to hang on, and then they puts a ladder, but the ladder tips, and like all of it just kind of came flooding back, scene by scene by scene. Um, it's a well constructed pilot. David Addison is in the pilot, like that character is not very well modulated, so he's a
Yeah,
lot.
he's not quite the David Addison we come to know and love.
Yeah, like he's kind of an asshole and kind of a little toxic, too much, it feels like. And Sybil Shepherd is not also understanding the sort of comedy of it. And so like it's a weird, it's proto Moonlighting. It's not Moonlighting yet. But like you see why they greenlit it to a series. You see the bones of what it was going to be, but it would take a little bit to get there. It's a fascinating watch.
Moonlighting Kids, now available on Hulu. Took a while to get there. They had to change some of the songs, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, music rights I think was a big deal.
Mm.
Um, which is a lot of the reasons why some of your favorite shows aren't on the air because the music deals they could cut in the 80s and 90s are far different from the music deals that you have to clear today. And so it took a while. And yeah, to your point, I think they did have to swap out a couple songs to get it through.
Hey kids, here's something I never fucking say. Why don't you go ahead and smash that like button?
Ooh, smash it.
Why don't you go smash that subscribe button, kids? Smash the
Smash
like,
it.
smash the subscribe, do whatever
I think we're
whatever.
going to smash tonight.
Yeah, man. Smash like, right now it's at 293. I like this. Come on. Smash that like button, kids. Smash it.
Smash it. Smash it.
Smash that like.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
I don't know
We're
what it
smashing
is,
tonight.
but I don't know what that gets us, if anything. There it is, kids. Did you have a good time? Did you learn a thing or two? Well, that's because why is Kev doing a bedtime voice? LOL. Am I? What's my bedtime voice?
Did you get all sexy? Hey.
Julianne Abbey says, I've been subscribed for 10 damn years. That's right, Julianne. You and me. We're gonna get
Match
this.
Bros.
Yeah. Smash Bros. There it is, kids. Did you have a good time? Well, if you liked this, then there'll be more of this, where this came from. Virginia native says freaking 2 a.m. I'm bedtime typing. Yeah, it's 1:30 here in the East Coast.
You're a soldier.
Ninja Schwa says Kevin Smith After Dark. That's right. Mike Ono said, "How is Kevin liking living in the Valley?" Nice. I like that. I've always been a big Valley kid. I love the Valley, man. Ever since I saw Bad News Bears, I was like, I want to be in this Valley.
You will have been glad to miss this week because it's like 95 degrees this week. For reasons that, it's the end of the world. So sure, why not? October.
It is it was a beautiful 65 to 70 degrees here for the last few days. Real nice.
Nice.
Now we're just talking weather. Time to get the fuck out of here, man.
Yep. How's the weather by you at 6:30 in the morning?
Couple old men discussing the weather. Kids, you had a good time? If you did, it's because Banff Man brought us right into your fucking homes. Give it up for Banff Man. There he is, waving at you and shit. Don't forget, this week I'm going to be in Brooklyn for the Friends of Firefighter event, a gala on Thursday. And then I'll be back out here on the East Coast for the Russo brothers on the 3rd, and Zach and Miri on the 11th, and
From Brooklyn, I said hi.
December 2nd. Me and Mark are going to figure out when we're coming back. Bringing it back.
Bringing it back. Maybe we'll bring a movie back too.
Yeah, let's do that.
I know.
When can you start just selling tickets for Splinter and shit? Can you do that? Are you allowed to do that or no?
I can. I think we're probably at the end of the festival run. So I mean, fuck, distribution for shorts is a weird thing because hardly anybody does it because there's very little money in it. But
I know a guy with a movie theater.
You know a dude with a movie theater. $400 a ticket. Let's make some money.
Yeah.
It's $1 a minute. $15 admissions, $1 a minute. Everybody wins. But yeah, man, we'll figure it out. Definitely want to come back east. There's a Broadway show I have to go see. I got to hit the Great White Way. Gutenberg the musical.
Oh, yeah. A friend of mine, Jeremy, was asking me if I wanted to invest in it, but he hit me at a time where I was financially strapped. But they've also asked me to come play for a day on that show.
Ooh, you should go the day that I'm going.
I'll find out. When it is.
Yeah, because one of my very best friends wrote that play. Scott Brown. Yeah.
Really?
Scott Brown was my assistant at Entertainment Weekly. He was an awful assistant, but a very good writer. Then went on to be the theater critic for Vulture, I think, for New York Magazine. Then worked on a show called Manhattan. Then worked on a show called Castle Rock. He's the guy who led me to join the staff at Castle Rock. He made the introduction for me. He wrote the book for Beetlejuice. Bless you.
Thank you. Did he really?
He did. And Gutenberg is a show that he wrote when he was working for me at EW. It's been 15 years. I saw it off Broadway with him and his buddy Anthony King in the starring roles. And they resurrected it 20 years later with Josh Gad and Andrew Reynolds. And so I feel a moral and comedic obligation to go see this play.
Nice.
And so it's going to definitely be that week that I'm back to do Fat Man. So fuck yeah.
That's pretty dope right there, man.
Yeah.
Hey kids, if you like the intelligent part of the show, that's because Mr. Intelligence himself over there, he keeps it smart. I keep it nice and fucking dumb. He keeps it
dirty.
Give it up for the great Mark Bernardin.
Thank you, everybody.
Doubt Berisha in chat says, any interest in Back to the Future, the musical? And then right above him, Cursed Cat Film says, did Kev see the Jaws Broadway play The Shark is Broken? So 2 plays on Broadway right now based on Steven Spielberg movies. Steven Spielberg is the king of the Great White Way.
Very much. Getting paid.
House of Rio said, thank you again for making my patrol a lot easier tonight. Well, thank you for hanging out with us there, House of Rio.
Indeed. Keep an eye on crime.
Thanks to all of you folks for hanging out with us as we pop the culture right in the fucking mouth. There it is, kids. Somebody said, me go away says, why no sponsors? Nobody likes us.
Yeah.
They don't
trying to
believe-
get Celsius.
Yeah. You know who the sponsor is tonight? Smog Castle Cinemas.
Yep. Sponsor
Right
dinner
below.
is joy.
Right below me, man. I may be upstairs at the 80s Improv in front of this brick wall, but right below me is Smod Castle Cinemas, kids. Come see the Taylor Swift movie. Come see Dumb Money. Come see, we're playing Beetlejuice this week. Come on down. Come to Smod Castle Cinemas, kids.
Yeah.
Sponsor of this year episode of whatever we call this fucker.
It's almost 2:00 in the morning.
I know. I'm like, what's going
This is
on?
the late show.
Are we
Kevin
still
Mark.
talking?
Go home.
There it is, kids. We'll be back again before the end of the month. That's for damn sure. Because we do have an ad.
And maybe we'll do it live.
Yeah, we'll probably do it. Maybe we'll do it in the Scum and Villainy Cantina. So you can stand there and look at us, or sit there and look at us, throw a tissue at us, hit us real hard. That's how
drink your blue drink. Just have a good fucking
get
time.
that blue milk, tie one on with blue milk. Start being honest and shit. There it is, my friends. There it is. What else? What else can I tell you? I can show you this. It's a fucking gorgeous book.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Heavy.
yeah, it's bigger than my head. They put Guardian Devil into this oversized book, that gorgeous Casada and Palmiotti artwork in oversized pages. That's available right now. You get it signed at Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. Become a reservist at Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. Go to jayandsilentbob.com for more information. Kids, we're going to get the fuck out of here. It's 1:30 in the morning on the East Coast.
Indeed.
Got to move my car before I get a ticket. Can't park on First Avenue past 2 a.m. Yeah. There it is, my friends. Go be kind to other people in this world. Go say something nice to somebody. As soon as we're done,
Good.
close your laptop, go say something nice to somebody who deserves it. Maybe say something nice to somebody who don't deserve it. Maybe that'll flip them around. You know, when I go out to eat, I used to work in restaurants when I was a kid, and so I always like to tip well, because as a busboy, I earned 15% of the waiter or waitress's tips and shit like that. So I've always been like a pretty good tipper. My brother, who's been in restaurants his whole life, gets irritated whenever I tip poor servers. Like, he's like, I'm a fucking waiter for a living and I can't stand why would you tip? Because I tip 50%. He's like, why would you fucking tip 50%? Like, that service sucked. I was like, because when I leave and that person like sees that tip, you know, maybe they'll change their fucking ways or something like that. I don't know. So you never know, man. Just go say something nice to somebody. Watch the trickle down. You know, some people need to hear something nice. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you need to hear something nice. Here, I'll tell you something fucking nice, kids. You are smart and good. Very clever.
Go give somebody head.
Yeah. Wait, what? Did you say go give somebody a head? I don't think that's what I was getting at, Mark, but yes, in short.
Somebody.
All right, there it is, my friends. For Fat Man Beyond, I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Mark Bernardi.
Tune in next time. Same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.
Jeff's kiss, everybody. Mwah.
Live long and prosper.
This is the Maquette. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the AKA Ask Kev Anything.
Every saga has a 10-year anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what happens when Jay and Silent Bob get old. I'm Kevin Smith.